It is 5:15. We're in the Tom Baker Room of the City County Building. We have two meetings tonight, but before we get started, we'll have invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Chaplain Kalis, please, if you wouldn't mind.
On behalf of Crisis Care Chaplaincy for Bismarck, Burleigh County, thank you for the opportunity of opening this meeting in prayer. If you would you please stand with me for the prayer and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for this evening. We are looking forward to this spring season as we anticipate seeing new life and rebirth. And we are reminded during this season of the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the joy of being reunited with family and friends during this Easter celebration. Please comfort any who may be adjusting to loss of loved ones during this time and give them your peace. Thank you for the privilege of living in this city of Bismarck as well as in this state. Thank you for the many blessings and opportunities that this local community offers for those of us who live here. I pray today for those who are in the offices that govern this community. I ask your Spirit guide as they make decisions, many of which are not easy, that they be wise and godly and would prove to be in the best interest of the community. Thank you, too, for the freedom citizens have to speak up and be heard, whether in agreement or dissent, for in discussion and diversity comes strength in this community. I pray for our mayor and those who work in that office, for each commissioner as well as other elected officials and city workers. I ask that each one would be blessed by you, God, as they carry out their responsibilities. I also pray for our first responders, those who put themselves in harm's way to protect the citizens of this community, our law enforcement, our firefighters, EMS workers, dispatch, healthcare workers, and others. Please protect them in their line of duty so that they might protect those of us who've placed our trust in them. So God, guide us in everything said and done this evening. I'm so thankful for each and every one of these blessings. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
It is April 8th, and our first meeting that we'll call to order is a continuation of the Board of Equalization. If we can call the meeting to order first, please.
Commissioner Risch?
Here.
Commissioner Zanker?
Here.
Commissioner Connolly?
Here.
Commissioner Cleary?
Here.
Mayor Schmitz?
Here. So this is a continuation of the hearing on the Board of Equalization. Allison, can you just give a quick update, because there's a lot of people here who may not even know why we're doing this. So,
sure. We're here to continue our meeting from last week, and this is the opportunity for property owners to contest their 2025 property valuation. So we've got a sign-up sheet here at the podium if you choose to come up and speak. If we have not already spoke with you, our office will get in touch with the property owners in the next couple of days to discuss their valuation concerns and set up an appointment to review the property. And then after your public hearing, we have a few lists of people we've already spoke with, some that agree with our valuation recommendation and some that don't. We'll ask that those be approved tonight. And then also the annual report that we presented last week, we'll ask that that be approved as amended by any changes made this evening.
thank you.
Yep.
So again, as I said, this is a continuation of that public hearing. So anyone who would wish to speak regarding their property, please come forward, state your name, sign in, and make sure we have your address. a second call for anyone? A third and final call. The public hearing is now closed. So Allison, you want to present the rest then?
Okay, well, we do have a few lists that we shared with you for the meeting today. There is a list that property owners we visited with, and we've been able to make a review of their property and recommend a change of valuation based on the things we saw with our review. And so we ask that that be approved, and then we'll notify those property owners of any changes with a letter. And then we have a second list. It's a shorter list. There's just a few people on there that did not agree with our recommended change. And so we just ask that those be approved tonight as well.
Okay. Commissioners, questions? So we take one motion on those properties that there's agreement on, correct?
That would work. Yep.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the list of properties with value changes.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. And then the next item is the list of 5 or 6 where there's not agreement. Commissioners?
Move to approve the list of the 2025 value changes with their recommendation.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes.
And then I'll also move to approve the annual report as presented last week.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. The Board of Equalization is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now call to order the Board of City Commissioners. We can call roll.
Commissioner Risch?
Here.
Commissioner Zanker?
Here.
Commissioner Connolly?
Here.
Commissioner Cleary?
Here.
Mayor Schmitz?
Here. Our first item is recognition of the Bismarck Citizen Academy participants. And Jason, are you going to make a brief presentation?
It would be my honor, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight, we have the good fortune to recognize not quite our full class of Citizen Academy participants from 2025, but I'm pleased to say that this group is the 4th class that's gone through the program. We've made a number of tweaks over the years. We were just chatting before the meeting with Commissioner Risch, who was part of Group 1, Season 1. And we've modified the program a little bit over the years and added a few things to it. And I think in the future we will continue to see some tweaks and adjustments. But we just want to use this as a chance to promote the program a little bit more for anybody that hasn't heard us talk about it or is curious to know more. Basically, it's a 12-week program. Every Thursday throughout January, February, and March, we gather at City Building at one location or another and spend 3 hours going through, behind the scenes, in-depth, look at budgets, look at facilities, meeting with staff. I think I counted up somewhere close to 80 different city staff were involved in the 12 weeks as we went through the various departments. Obviously, we spent, at least 36 hours together over the course of those 12 weeks, and we have a bonus week coming up where we will be tomorrow. Actually, we're heading down to the wastewater treatment plant to meet with Travis and his team and see how the other side of the water treatment process works. So that's been something we've added in the last couple of years, and we've left it up to the group to decide if that's something they want to take advantage of. And this year they said yes, please. So we're heading south tomorrow, or I'm sorry, on Thursday. So what we'd like to do tonight, I'd just like to read everybody's name that was part of the class this year, and then for those that are here, if we can get a group photo with all of you. I know our communications folks would love the opportunity to put this out on social media and shine a light on it one more time. So with that, if I can just read everybody's name real quick, and then we can get everybody that's here. Oh, there's a few folks that would like to share their comments, if that's okay as well. I think somebody wants to roast Doug this time around, so I'm just kidding. So for the participants this year, in no particular order other than how they're on my list, participants included Noah Weber, Maribella Punga, Natalia Kupitz, Tim Click, Lillian Johnston, Sargiana Wutzke, who I think you'll be hearing from later with a different matter, Lane Hoffer, Andrew Carlson, Stephanie Gray, Chantel Lelm, Joe Dosh, Dan Taylor, Courtney Houston, Robert Tubbs, Matthew Presler, Maya Fleck, Jenny Messer, Zarina Arapovic, and Corey Ralstead. So that's our group from 2025. And who wants to speak first? I think, Sargiana is going to go first. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the City of Bismarck for offering this unique opportunity for a behind-the-scenes look at how the city runs. A huge thank you to every department of the city for taking the time to educate us on how their department works and for being very open to any questions we had for them. I feel extremely lucky to have been a part of the Citizens Academy. This experience made me realize that it is truly the people that make this city amazing, and there are some great people who work for this great city. I'm not going to lie, when I was given the schedule of departments we would meet with on the weeks, some were less than exciting to me. However, I was pleasantly surprised as I had a great time every single week. Each department is unique, and I got more out of this experience than I ever imagined. I'm sure that my classmates and I have varying opinions on our favorite week of the academy. As a book nerd, my favorite was the library. It was so interesting to see the inner workings of the place that homes some of the greatest works ever written, and to be able to tour this facility as well as talk with their very enthusiastic staff. We also learned about the variety of programs offered for all ages, from toddlers to adults. Some of the things offered include story times, gaming tournaments, book clubs, crocheting, chess, classes for parents, and computer classes. I would strongly encourage everyone to take the time to tour the library. I don't have the time to talk about every department, but I'd like to talk about 5 interesting facts that I learned through the Citizens Academy. Number 1, in 2024, the tree count in Bismarck was 25,551, and every one of these trees are plotted out on a GIS inventory. The landfill takes in an average of 594,060 pounds of garbage a day. The attendance for events at the Bismarck Event Center and Belle Mayhews in 2024 was 403,953. There are 450 licensed food establishments that a city has to inspect yearly. And the fire department responded to 6,217 emergencies in 2024. These are just a few things I learned from the Academy. To end this, I'd like to say thank you to all the other participants in the Academy. Thank you for being an engaging group each week and for always asking so many good, relevant questions. One last thank you, though, goes to City Administration. Thank you to Jason, Doug, and Kaylin for being there each week alongside us and for supporting us in this experience. I would strongly encourage anyone to apply for this wonderful opportunity. You will not be disappointed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, commission members, city staff, cadets, and fellow citizens of Bismarck. My name is Matthew Presler. I work for the Senate Tax and Finance and Transportation Committees for the North Dakota Legislature. I've lived in Bismarck for nearly 3 years, but have been coming to Bismarck and the state of North Dakota for nearly 20. I would like to start by giving my heartfelt thanks to all the departments, department heads, and employees for taking time out of their busy schedules and lives to engage and educate our group every Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m. for the last 12 weeks, often staying late to answer any questions we might throw their way. I'd like to give a special thank you to Jason, Doug, Kaylin, and Maya for being there with us every single week and for their patience and candor in fielding literally any questions or scenarios I would pose to them. Thank you for indulging me. And thank you for allowing me to participate in Citizens Academy. I'm eternally grateful. I'd also like to thank my fellow cadets. It's been a pleasure getting to know each one of you over the past several weeks. Secondly, I would like to encourage my fellow citizens to become engaged with their local government and perhaps consider applying for next year's Citizens Academy. 3 years ago, I moved to Bismarck to be closer to my family and decided it was time to become more immersed in the community. I came into this program wanting to learn more about the community and how the city operated. Citizens Academy exceeded my expectations, and I was particularly struck by the dedication, care, vigor, and due diligence of all of the City of Bismarck's employees. They take the responsibility of spending our tax dollars seriously and promote efficiency, integration, and cost analysis across all departments within the city. More importantly, they care deeply about the City of Bismarck and try to foster a community which we can all be proud to call our home. Each Thursday evening began with me being tired, hungry, and ready to call it a day. And each one ended with me asking questions or chatting sometimes nearly to 10 p.m. and not wanting to go home. Some highlights for me were the water treatment plant, fire station, library, police station, airport, and roads and streets. All the departments were impressive, but those were some of the ones that came to mind immediately while I was preparing my remarks. It was a privilege to get an inside look at each one of the operations. Anyone interested in municipal government and getting to know fellow members of their community should give Citizens Academy serious consideration. Thank you again for the very enjoyable, educational, and fulfilling experience.
My name is Mirabella, and I want to thank everybody for the privilege of being tonight here. As former foreigner, I want to say now I feel like this community became my home, and I love to live in this city. I love this country, and I love the opportunity that you can give us what we need in this city, and you can. Now I am confident that all the money you are deciding where to spend here are well spent for our benefit, for the community benefit. Now when I see comments on social media that all they can do, these commissioners, is to spend, now I can argue that's not the right thing to say. Now I can really argue because I was a part of this entire learning process, and I see things that I couldn't see it before, how everything and how the process actually work. I want to say a big thank you to the administrative team that make this happen. I think this program is a great opportunity for the citizens of this community to see how this city operates and how the money are spent. And it's a great opportunity to invite more people to experience what we experience. All the departments I went to, I had the great pleasure, and I learned a lot from this program. I will encourage everybody who want to participate, and after all, we all have ideas of what else this program can look like in the future. So I want to say a big thank you again to make this city a great city to be in, to invite other people that want to create a family and have a good life here. So I'm very thankful again.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to comment. She's got a wonderful store here across from the Dairy Queen with a Russian and a Ukrainian. I go down there and get pickles and canned fish and all kinds of stuff. Make sure you check it out.
Hi there, Commissioners. Thanks for your time tonight. I'm Joe Dosh, citizen of Bismarck here. Want to just say thanks again for everyone putting on, Jason, Doug, for allowing me to be part of the Citizens Academy. I came into it being part of a family business, third generation here in Bismarck, and so more of the private sector view. So needless to say, I've seen the city kind of operate, but it was always from kind of from the side of a city citizen. And so, being able to go through behind the scenes, talk to the employees, see kind of the culture that they have, the, answers that they're able to provide for all of our questions as we are kind of grilling them and talking about how things are ran in each of the various departments was very entertaining and also just educational for me to see. So appreciate them taking the time. I know from kind of the past experience too, to create that culture is tough, to where you have an atmosphere that employees want to be there, want to participate, want to engage. And from, the 60 to 80 employees that we got to interact with, it was very evident that they enjoyed what they did. And so made me feel proud to be a citizen of Bismarck. So thank you to all the city staff. Thank you to Doug and Jason and team. And then thank you, city commissioners, for what you do too. We saw how much goes in to every night just meeting, on Thursdays. And I know that you guys spend a lot of your times, helping for the betterment of our city too. So really appreciate it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Any other comments? I'm not going to show. Go ahead.
All right. So
This is good advertising for this program.
So I'm Dr. Timothy Click, assistant professor of chemistry at UMary. I actually moved here this last summer. Lived around the country, lived abroad in Taiwan for 6 years, and most places I've been don't have anything like this. So it's been rather enjoyable to be able to get on the ground running. And even though when we first started, I half-jokingly said part of my reason for it was it helps with the promotion packet that I will eventually go for with UMary, that it's been an enjoyable experience from that standpoint, being able to see how things work within the city government, to be able to see how everything, all fits together. Because we might think, oh, well, there's, because I take the bus too, and going even over the summer when South Washington was getting worked on, just all the different things there, but you don't see that, or we don't necessarily think that everything works together. It's not simply, well, there's the construction crew, but how would that be affected with, say, Department of Forestry or anything else? So knowing that everything works together and being able to have that time with other people, getting to know other people, even though I'm fairly new here. So do appreciate that, and certainly appreciate being able to work with Doug and Jason, as well as being able to hear how things work for you all. At times, being in academia, meetings aren't fun, and I know those aren't probably always the same for you all, depending upon the tasks at hand. So certainly commend you all for that as well.
Ready for a photo?
This is going to be a big crowd.
All right, we have two proclamations this evening. The first is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require law enforcement, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas the emergency occurs, when the emergency occurs, the prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, emergency medical personnel is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mike Schmitz, Mayor of the City of Bismarck, on behalf of this commission, do join the Central Dakota Communications Center Board of Directors to proclaim April 13th through 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week here in the City of Bismarck. Signed this day, the 8th day of April, 2025. And this next one is, it's really for me, it's for what I'm trying to establish for our community as a whole. So the proclamation is, whereas the cities of Bismarck and Mandan have long been recognized for their strong sense of community, rich heritage, vibrant culture, and fostering an environment where residents and businesses thrive together, and whereas the municipal government for the city of Bismarck and the city of Mandan are important components to this growth, providing critical services each day and ensuring the capital metro flourishes with new residences, businesses, and opportunities. And whereas the importance of welcoming people to our communities is recognized as an important aspect of strengthening our workforce, expanding the local economy and tax base, increasing the pool of volunteers, and contributing vitality to our communities. Whereas the foundation of welcoming and inclusive community begins with a simple gesture saying hello, which serves as the first step in building meaningful connections, fostering a sense of belonging and strengthening social fabric. And whereas participating in the Welcome Home means more than hello initiative seeks to create opportunities to welcome new residents by engaging residents and business owners to take an extra step to integrate them into the fabric of our community. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Michael Schmitz, Mayor of the City of Bismarck, on behalf of this commission, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as Welcome Month in Bismarck, Mandan. I urge all citizens of our community to learn more about how they can contribute to a more welcoming community, take action to join this effort, and let every individual who arrives in our community know they are truly home. Signed this 8th day of April 2025. And there will be events announced coming up that this all partakes in, and the City of Mandan is also proclaiming May as Welcome Month, I think at their next commission meeting, because they're off a week on ours. So those are our two proclamations. Now we move to public comment. We have several people here tonight, so we'll want to make sure those who want to speak, because I believe there's a couple topics that people are going to want to speak about. So let's try to be respectful of time of 5 minutes or less if we can. I'm not going to cut anybody off, but just respect that we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. So the items are those on the consent agenda or regular agenda that are not public hearings. So please come forward, tell us who you are, sign in, and then the topic you're speaking to. And if we run out of space on the sign-in sheets, we'll find more for you, but I think hopefully we have plenty. So public comment period is now open. Anyone who wishes to speak, please come forward.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Tom Dice, and I'm here tonight to speak to you about the Tyler Parkway extension proposal. My wife and I are longtime residents of Tyler Parkway, and we just have deep concerns about the extension proposal. We are opposed to the extension, and I have just short 8 points that I want to make, so be patient with me. The first one is just kind of a conflict of interest. Per the city's request for proposal contract with the engineering firm, they were contracted to do three things: the survey if the residents wanted the Tyler extension. The second was traffic calming measures for anticipated increase in traffic. And third, the preliminary design for the extension road. Does the engineering firm have a conflict of interest in presenting this survey? It's in their best interest for the extension to go through. They are designing the road. So that's my first point. Second point is the survey. The developments on Tyler Parkway were started in 1979. There are approximately 60 homes on Tyler Parkway who are going to be negatively affected or impacted if the extension goes through. The survey sent out 700 notices and they received 312. To me, that's skewing the support for the project. Virtually nobody spoke in support of the project at the public input meeting. This should be about people who live on Tyler Parkway who are going to incur the negative impacts. When do the rights of the city or the newer developments supersede the people who live on Tyler Parkway? Tyler Parkway was not built as an arterial road. It was a collector road. The city changed its classification in 2012 to put Tyler Parkway on the half-cent sales tax with roads like 43rd and 57th, in my opinion, was not right. Those other roads have no housing impacts, and they have 35-mile-an-hour speed limits consistent with arterial roads. Tyler Parkway speed limit is 25 miles an hour, and we back out into that road. Tyler Parkway is not built to handle high volumes of traffic. Tyler Cooley was designed or designated as a conservation area. Why we run a high-volume road through this beautiful area? Probably the most important part I want to make is traffic. The current traffic on Tyler Parkway is approximately 5,000 cars per day, and 85% are excessively speeding. If the extension is built, the engineering firm gives us, the residents, a narrow traffic forecast. They predict 300 more cars per day on day one. What about week one? What about month one? What about 3 months? What about 6 months? What about a year? There is none. Their next forecast is 25 years. That's one forecast, guys. And that's not complete. We will take traffic from every direction, you guys. It will attract traffic. Traffic will be much higher than forecasted. I warned the city before the Elkridge additions were built about the traffic problems it could create for Tyler Parkway residents. And now we have a traffic problem. And how are you going to move this traffic safely without destroying property values? Tyler Parkway is not built to handle high volumes of traffic. Project costs. The estimate for this project is $10 million, and I'll be surprised if it's $10 million. What if it's much higher? What if you go over budget? Who's going to pay for the ongoing maintenance costs for a fill dirt road 35 to 60 feet high at an 8% grade in a watershed that runs wet year-round? The city is going to do stormwater projects in the Tyler Cooley watershed. There are 3 areas north of Valley Drive that are part of the stormwater project. As you know, the city is purchasing the land for both the extension project and the stormwater project. To purchase this land, the city cites using half-cent sales tax money and special assessment money, yet no special assessment money has been collected. Does that mean the city is using extension money to purchase the land? What happens if the extension doesn't go through? Does that obligate you to approve the project? Emergency vehicle response. Driving 30 miles an hour from the fire station on Century up to Elkridge takes less than 5 minutes. It's even less time to go to Horizon School. Just a couple more things. The process, I don't think, has been very transparent. We get one public input meeting and an online survey regarding a project that costs $10 to $20 million. Why aren't there public hearings through planning and zoning and the city commission? There should be video record available on the concerns of Bismarck residents. In summary, Tyler Parkway residents followed all the city rules regarding development. Our road was not an arterial road, and Tyler Parkway was supposed to be a dead-end road. But the city changes the rules. We put the money into our homes based upon this area being a quiet residential neighborhood. You don't need this road, you want this road. It serves a small area of residents that can easily move within the existing road infrastructure. If this road is allowed, traffic will substantially increase and your traffic calming measures will need to be changed to something like losing on-street parking, 3 or 4 lanes, traffic lights, or road widening. You will destroy our property values. I encourage you to do nothing on the Tyler Parkway extension. Take the sales tax money, put it in the road budget, and reduce taxes for the residents of Bismarck. The City of Bismarck's responsibility is to protect the individual rights of Tyler Parkway, homeowners who played by the rules. You're supposed to set the rules and enforce them, not change them. I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Anyone have questions? Commissioner Conley?
Just a clarification.
Yes.
On the encouragement on the last paragraph, because I do follow like home rule charters very closely and
Yep.
things. Because it was a vote of the people in 2018 on the half cent.
Yep.
We can't redistribute the money in that way. It can go to one of the road projects on the list, but it cannot go in any other bucket. Just a point of clarification. We try to follow what the voters say when they vote something very specific into a home rule charter.
I just find it interesting that we're voting, we're collecting sales tax money on a road we haven't even approved yet.
Well, on that particular point on the home rule charter, it was one of 8 projects that were listed. A lot of us weren't here at that time, and Tyler, the whole Tyler corridor was part of that home rule charter back in 2018. So it's just a clarification. We cannot take that half cent and put it into a different bucket, other than what it was designed to do.
You could see the frustration for us people who live on Tyler.
Yep.
We thought the rules were this, and it's all changed. And you're going to run a bunch of traffic down our street, the city street, and it's going to destroy our property values. It's going to destroy our quality of life. You've already diminished it. I mean, the noise, the speed of the traffic. I mean, it's not 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. We have traffic going 50 or 60 miles an hour down Tyler. When you guys reconfigured the stop signs, it was awful. I mean, people run through there like it's a racetrack. I tell people it's Tyler Freeway. It's not Tyler Parkway anymore. You know? And how are we supposed to be living safely on our road, on this road?
I get that. I kind of broke the rule and the clarification just with the home rule charter, because we try not to engage when we hold it for the later on.
Yep.
But I felt it necessity to talk about the home rule charter specifically, because there's been a lot of discussion on multiple levels of government here locally.
Yep.
So I just mentioned it there. I have to hold the other comments for later, but I appreciate that, and I'm going to listen to everybody. So
I appreciate that.
Anything else, commissioners? Thank you, sir. Yep. Again, this is public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak, please come forward.
On this is where I'm supposed to write my name in.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I'm not sure if Mr. Dice signed in or not. I didn't.
Okay.
Oh, I'll get that. Sorry.
My name's Sean Schmidt. I also live on Tyler Parkway, and I can agree with Mr. Dice on pretty much everything. The residents of Tyler Parkway are extremely concerned, and it feels like this thing has been fast-tracked, and our voices have not been listened to. They assembled a committee. I was one of the people who was on that committee. Objection to this project at that meeting was 90%. There was a huge meeting up at Elk Ridge. The opposition to this project was well over 90% there. I don't really completely understand how we're being told that this is, you know, for our input, and the overwhelming input is that this project not be finished, that this project not go through. But it appears that it's you know, going to your guys' vote, and I hope you guys understand that too, that the overwhelming opinion on this project is that we don't want it. And I don't think if you guys lived on the street and saw what we did, you would understand why we have this viewpoint, and we don't want this to go through. It's a nightmare. The speed is not being enforced. Everybody's kind of afraid for our kids. We have contacted the police departments. Patrols and radaring is not being done, and it's a genuine concern. And it's only going to get worse when if the project goes through. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lorene Balkowicz. We live on Cogburn. We built our house in 21, and when we were building, we noticed that, geez, the speed was really, really fast. And our street on Cogburn is very windy, and so if two people are parked on both sides of the street and you want to go drive both directions, it is impossible because of the turns of the roadway. I did contact the city and say, hey, our speeds are very, very high. We have an elementary school that's going to be going in. Is there any way that we could get a speed limit sign stating that Cogburn is 25 miles an hour? They did put a sign up by the pickleball courts, so people, I mean, the sign is there, but people do not drive 25. We have very, very fast traffic. The school now being in, people are driving past our house to and from school, and many of the people probably live down off of Valley, and they only have one way to get up to Elk Ridge School. You go up Tyler, Del Rio. Del Rio is very fast traffic. Then you get onto Cogburn to get up to the school. You can either go on Tyler or Ivory to get to the school. There is no other way to get to the school other than Cogburn. If Frisco Way would go through, a different road would go through, there would be more artilleries in order to get through. Cogburn was never built to be a busy, busy street. And we have truck traffic, everything, just like south on Tyler Parkway, but Cogburn is way busy, new houses, new construction. Elk Ridge 3 is going to be going in. There's going to be more and more homes. And why should we have all the traffic on Cogburn going down to get to Tyler? Thank you very much.
Any questions, Commissioner?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. Thank you for allowing our opinions and voices to be heard with respect to the Tyler Parkway extension. I have resided at 3120 Tyler Parkway since '98. During the last 26 years, we have lived with the growth.
Sir, can you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Greg Dean.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. During the last 26 years, we have lived with the growth of Northwest Bismarck. I attended the meeting at Elk Ridge Elementary School in March. For the record, I did not hear one positive comment regarding this project, and yet in your current report that I just read, the estimate was 40% positive and 60% negative. I think some of us can see where this train is headed. Bismarck's Parks and Rec asked for public comment a few years ago about future recreational needs. The number one issue raised from the public was green space and trails. Guess what? This road extension diminishes both. Off-road trails for walkers and bikers is cut into two parts. I know an access bridge under the road is planned, but that's really not the point. It's green space being removed. The fact that a main artillery road is now planned to split an existing neighborhood, and I realize this is not this commission's doing. If you go back 8 election cycles, that commission kicked the can down the road so the development that we currently have could go forward with no planned artillery roads. We all know about the problems of north-south roads in Bismarck. It wasn't you guys, I understand that, but it was poor planning from many, many cycles ago. None of the 4 artillery road upgrades from the half-cent sales tax have existing homes backing directly into the street from their driveways. When we voted on this, and I understand the money has to be spent on this specific project, nobody was thinking about what we're talking about now. Nobody was. Could this be why this is the last of 5 proposed road extensions to be completed? I attended the Master Road Plan update a few years ago and was assured by the Planning and Zoning Commission we would have public discussion well in advance of any work on the Tyler extension being done. Gabe sat in that meeting. Define well in advance. This discussion should have been a year ago. maybe even 2 years ago. The city is purchasing easements before the citizens could even discuss the merits of this road. I ask all of you commissioners and Gabe to look me in the eye and say that if they lived on my street, that you would 100% support this project. Gabe, I ask you, is this prudent engineering designed to bring a major arterial road through an existing neighborhood with small children playing next to this street? It eliminates green space the citizens of Bismarck deserve. It is projected to increase traffic on Tyler Parkway many percent over in 10 years by Apex engineering calculations. All for what? So that drivers who live west of the bridge and all the way up to Hawk Tree can access Bismarck 2 minutes quicker? Is that what this is all about? Convenience? I ask you, commissioners, you have a chance to make the quality of life in Northwest Bismarck better for the long-term future by rejecting this $12 to $15 million taxpayer-funded 4,000-foot road extension. Is there no better place in Bismarck to spend $12 to $15 than this road? Are we doing this because we have the money? Now we have to spend it? Maybe we need Doge in Bismarck. Thank you for hearing me out, and let your conscience be your guide when making this decision. Thank you.
My name's Elizabeth Strothman. I live on Tyler Parkway. I am not prepared to talk tonight, but after reading your mission statement, I think you'll agree with me. Your mission statement says that you're going to protect quality of life in the city of Bismarck. Our quality of life has changed substantially since we bought our homes up there. I'm one of the first ones up there. There were 5 homes in that whole subdivision when I moved there. And we moved there because it was quiet. It was supposed to remain quiet. And at that time, it was almost out of town. Well, then things changed and more traffic kept coming through. And I know you think, well, gee, we have to have it, but it can't be that dangerous. One night in the middle of winter, I was up because I couldn't sleep. And this was several years ago, probably 20 years ago, way before we have the traffic we have now. And it's much faster now. I'm sitting in our couch down on the main level, and all of a sudden my whole house shakes. I thought we were hit by a car in the front of our house. A girl came down Tyler Parkway, making the turn just up the street, 2.5 blocks, lost control and hit our tree out in front. It is dangerous. If that would have been during the day, I can assure you a small child could have easily have been hit. It is dangerous to have the type of traffic that we have up there. Most of us have a lot of our savings into our house, and that's what we're going to retire on. Now, since I'm older, I really realize that you really have to rely on that equity. I went through a death of my husband, and even with the $1 million paid for by our insurance company, I still had $200 and some thousand that I had to pay out of my pocket. That took care of a lot of savings and I had an investment property. I had to sell it. I had to pay these people. Now I've got the equity in my house. And I'm going to lose part of that equity, probably most of my equity, if that extension goes through. I want you to understand how important it is for so many of you. I don't know how many of you are from Tyler Parkway, but a lot of us, that's where our money is. And as a realtor for 30-some years, I know that it's going to affect our values of our real estate substantially. It has already, because we have no quality when it comes to slow traffic going through. I agree with what everybody has said up here. People go easily 45 and 50 miles an hour. And when the schools get out, it's worse. And we would need some help with that. We don't need more traffic coming through. More people perhaps losing control and coming up into our yards. And I'm going to ask you the same question that the gentleman did before me. Would you want it in your front yard? And especially if you knew, let's just use as a common denominator up there, and it's many are much higher. Let's say you have a $450,000 house. Many of them are much higher. My experience from trying to sell a home on a through street in Bismarck and one that isn't on a through street meant that you were going to lose anywhere from 10 to 20% on your house. If you had that same house someplace else in the city, you would get that much more for it. It's not fair to us who have purchased our homes to live on a nice, quiet street that is no longer quiet, but let's at least keep it to how quiet it is now. It's important to a whole lot of us. I don't know how many of you are of retirement age, but when you turn around and sell your house, that equity might be what helps us get into a nursing home. It might pay for the expenses that I had to pay for my husband. My house was almost paid for at the time, and I had to refinance because I owed it to the medical field that had kept him alive for a year to pay them. I'm not going to walk away. That's what North Dakota is all about. They're good, honest people. So I'm asking you to please do not put that extension through. Thank you.
Thank you. This is public comment. Anyone who wishes to speak, please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Alan Smetana. I am Linnell's husband, not better half. There are a couple areas here that my experience leads me to think about things that haven't been really delved into. I lived in Montana for 25 years. I drove almost every road in Montana, and you know they're not level. I've driven 8% grades. I've driven 7% grades. And when I saw that this was going to be a 7-8% grade here with people who've never done a whole lot of mountain driving, and sitting to the northwest with the wind coming through, the snow coming through, the rain coming through, that is going to be probably the most dangerous piece of road you have in this town, because it's 7-8% grade. And some of you have driven on it. Some of you have been in Montana, you've driven on the slopes. If you're not expecting it and you're coming over there fast, it's not going to work. And I think you need to think about that, because that is going to be a lifelong problem that's going to cause injuries and problems down the road. The second thing that I would like to just throw out is we're at 2931. We have a slope to our driveway. We back into the street. It's difficult. And all down that street, you get on that hill and come down, everybody backs on a slope into the street. And it's dangerous for everybody driving and getting on and getting off. And I think you should consider those things. Thank you.
Hi, I have some visual aids I'd like to show. Can somebody help me put it together, the overhead projector, before I start? I'll write my name while I'm doing that.
Set them down here and they'll
Awesome. My name is Ryan Warner. I'm a resident on Tyler Parkway. It's been nice to see all the folks from Tyler Parkway come out tonight and make their voices heard. It's always great when we have an opportunity to address our elected officials, and appreciate everyone's time tonight taking our public comment. I have some thoughts on this proposal on Tyler Parkway. I'd love to run by everyone tonight. Now, it's true that this Tyler Parkway extension has been discussed since the 1990s. It's important to understand why. It's only been discussed, but not seriously pursued. And it's pretty simple. It's because it's incredibly expensive relative to the actual length of road that gets built, and it provides limited benefits, mostly derived from traffic convenience. And it also comes with negative impacts, the kind that we've heard tonight, for the residents living in and around Tyler Parkway's neighborhood. In short, the cost is high, the benefits are small, and the negative impacts to those living along Tyler are plenty. Now, the current budget estimates for Tyler Parkway extension have varied from about 10 to 12 million, depending on the source. Historically speaking, these numbers have been steadily increasing. Back in 2020, in the Bismarck-Mandan Metropolitan Planning Organization's long-range transportation plan called Arrive 2045, the price for the extension was estimated at $5 million. Given these escalating estimates, and also the complexity of constructing a roadway in a watershed, as well as the ongoing inflationary pressures that are hitting our economy right now, it would not be surprising if this project ends up costing north of $15 or potentially $20 million when it's all said and done. Now, where's that money coming from? As most know, it's coming from the half-cent road tax. Now, based on the numbers provided by our city engineer during the May 2024 City Commission meeting, which I've got a visual aid up, the city of Bismarck is currently at a $10 million deficit between committed funds and collected revenue stemming from that road tax. In essence, the funds for this project have yet to be collected and are based on projected revenues in 2025, and 2026, and 2027. Currently, we're in the middle of a global trade war, which is several leading economists predicting a potential economic recession. As people tighten their belts in response to the recession, how confident are we that they will continue, or that we will continue to collect $10 million per year from this half-cent sales tax that's funding this proposed extension? Even before the trade war, Bismarck City's sales tax revenue decreased from 2023 to 2024. Given these uncertain times, good fiscal policy would be to entertain lower-priced capital improvements, prioritizing and optimizing the current arterial road system that we have, instead of undertaking an expensive and lengthy road extension with limited benefits to the community as a whole. Later tonight, we're going to hear a report from Apex Engineering and the city engineering regarding the potential Tyler Parkway extension. This report is limited in scope and does not address potential noise or pollution concerns from the extension for those living along Tyler Parkway. Additionally, the traffic study is based on a proprietary third-party data set that shows expected driving behavior changes. Given the proprietary nature of the data set, there has been no effort to authenticate the analysis or provide transparency to the public regarding the sufficiency of the projection. I think we have some grave concerns about whether this is an underestimate of what the traffic's going to be if the extension goes through. Secondarily, the analysis does not consider any effects of induced demand. Induced demand is a well-established phenomenon in transportation planning where building new road capacity often encourages more driving and fails to provide increased convenience or relief to traffic congestion. Given these and other limitations to the current study, I thought it would be helpful to return to a fuller study that was done in 2011 called the Northwest Bismarck Subarea Study. This study analyzed potential north-south corridors in Northwest Bismarck. At the beginning of the study, the focus was on a dual corridor. This is where I'm going to go to my second visual aid. At the beginning of the study, the focus was on a dual corridor, one that incorporated both the extension of Tyler Parkway as well as a separate Tyler-Cooley corridor that would run west of Tyler Parkway. You can see it here. I've kind of outlined the one Tyler Parkway there is on the right. Tyler-Cooley extension would be going through the Tyler-Cooley there on the left. During the study, the practicality of building a roadway in a watershed was questioned. And so the Tyler-Cooley extension idea was not pursued. In essence, what was a dual corridor became a single corridor, with increased traffic demand foisted on Tyler Parkway. Recognizing this potential issue during the drafting of his report, in 2010, Steve Grable of Ultag Engineering, the lead author of the Northwest Bismarck Sub-Area Study, updated the Bismarck-Mandan MPO about how much this would impact Tyler Parkway. Here's what appears in the meeting minutes from the February 16th, 2010 MPO board meeting. Quote, Mr. Grable used a visual aid map to describe primary efforts taking place in the last month of the study. He said that all corridors in this area are being analyzed in a full build-out scenario. He also explained that up until this study, the extension of Tyler Parkway had really been the primary focus for a future corridor. However, in analyzing that extension, it becomes apparent that without coming down through the Cooley, option there on the left, the ADT, or average daily traffic, is about 33,000 through this very high access corridor. He further stated that right now it is a two-lane roadway with parking on both sides that travels through a residential area, and the choices available to accommodate and move that amount of traffic were not very desirable. He indicated the need for 6 to 7 lanes to move that volume of traffic. And as that is not a viable option, it leads to the realignment of Tyler Parkway. So that's the context for tonight's report, the realignment of Tyler Parkway from a residential collector street in a quiet neighborhood, which is how it was originally envisioned and developed in the 1980s, into what would become a major arterial road with 33,000 cars worth of traffic per day. Now, I know we still have a lot of people left here with something to say, so I'll stop here and conclude with this. Later, when we hear the report regarding some of the impacts of the potential extension of Tyler Parkway, I urge this commission to ask for a full study of all of the impacts, including specifically noise and pollution impacts for those living along Tyler Parkway, and the traffic impacts of a full build-out scenario using transparent data sets and methodologies. The only way to make a good public policy decision is to have all the facts in front of us. And right now, we only have partial understanding. And until we get a fuller picture, I would urge this commission to take a pause on this decision. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'll take some now.
Thank you, sir. This is public comment. Anyone wish to speak, please come forward. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Hearing and seeing no one else, public comment period is now closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes with regard to the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I've got one recommendation on the minutes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
So you want to pull the minutes,
sure.
and then we can do the rest?
I'll pull the minutes.
Okay. Okay. So your motion still?
With the minutes pulled.
Yeah, okay.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the roll on that portion of the consent agenda, and we'll come back to the minutes.
Commissioner Zinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Commissioner Risch will let you address your comments on the amendments, and then
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I was going to suggest is we add something. It talked about the BNSF presentation and essentially said we received the presentation from BNSF on their construction of the bridge over by the walking trail and River Road. And there was considerable discussion there, and I'd just like the minutes to reflect that the commission was disappointed in the walking trail being removed for a 2-year period, and that the commission also recommended that it be kept open as much as possible. A better reflection of really what took place in the discussion.
Everybody agree with that? Can we, Commissioner Sinker?
Mayor, Commissioners, Commissioner Risch, I don't know if there was ever a consensus that we agreed, right? There could be some of us who did, some of us who didn't. I think factually, we can say that some members of the commission disagreed, and that's fine. But I don't think there was any type of consensus taken through that presentation.
Certainly, we didn't vote on anything, and I'm acceptable with saying that some of the commissioners were concerned.
I would have no
Okay. So can we just edit the minutes for that, and then if we can take a motion for edited minutes approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as edited by Commissioner Risch.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zenker?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Moving to regular agenda item A, consider a request to receive an annual report from the City of Bismarck Human Relations Committee. And Sargiana or Tia, who's presenting? Three of you, okay. Wonderful.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for your time tonight and allowing us to present our 2024 annual report. My name is Tia Jorgensen, and I had the privilege of serving as the chair for 2024. Before we run through things, I really want to just express our gratitude to you, Mayor, the commissioners, for your continued support of our committee, for the work that Commissioner Conley has done as our portfolio holder, and then, of course, Jason, Doug, Whitney, and Kaylin. We know we are not demanding committee, so we just really much appreciate your time and commitment to the work that we do as well. I'll just provide some background initially. The mission of the Bismarck Human Relations Committee is to create an atmosphere of inclusion, equality, and accessibility through education and outreach to recognize the value of a diverse community. As a committee, we have 5 primary goals, which I'll just go over quickly here: to exhibit leadership in the areas of civil and human rights, to educate the public about civil and human rights, to identify issues of principal concern in the area of civil and human rights, to recommend priorities and objectives about issues of community concern to the City Commission, and to advocate for a compliance with federal and state laws regarding civil and human rights, including North Dakota Century Code chapters 14-02.4 and 14-02.5. Just for awareness for the public, the committee was established on October 8th, 2002 from Bismarck Ordinance 5208. And as I stated, our purpose is to promote acceptance, respect for diversity through educational programs and activities, and to discourage all forms of discrimination, including protected class discrimination, ADA violations, or other statutory or constitutional violations. One of the ways that we do this is through our support of organizations and events in the community. We are appointed, the committee in 2024 consisted of 9 members who serve without pay. We are appointed by the president of the Board of City Commissioners, and then we're subject to confirmation from the Board of Commissioners. We serve a 3-year term. And one thing that we will just start with really quickly here is hopefully you've seen it on public or social media that we are currently accepting applications for the 2024 Humanitarian of the Year Awards. In 2024, we awarded the 2023 Humanitarian of the Year Awards for an individual, Micah Olson, who is an attorney for the North Dakota Protection and Advocacy Project, and he advocates for the needs of individuals with disabilities in the community. And then we awarded Sanford Health as our organization for their work in prioritizing diversity, equity, and inclusion since 2021 to expand initiatives that expand and scale lasting and meaningful impact to the employees, patients, and our community. With that, I am going to hand it over to our new Vice Chair, Katie Houle. Thank you.
Good evening, Katie Houle. Want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Tia for serving as chair of our committee over the last year and spending a couple extra months with us as we went through a transition. One more plug for Humanitarian of the Year. There's 2 changes that we've made. We have communications and nomination form open. We're moving it a little earlier in the year because we're recognizing humanitarians and change makers in our community from the last year. We're also accepting nominations for youth. So we're individual youth, adult, and organizations that I wanted to mention as well. So as Tia talked about, one of our main goals is to actively plan, sponsor, participate in events that promote and celebrate diversity in our community. These community events are such an important way for us to engage with residents, talk about our mission, and really celebrate our community. Some of the events that we attended this last year included our Martin Luther King Jr. Event that took place at Trinity Lutheran Church, celebrating his incredible legacy. We sponsored, promoted, and had a table at that event. Another event we attended was Families Around the World that took place at the public library, connecting with children and families, engaging them in rock painting and other experiential activities and conversations, really supporting the goals of celebrating diverse families throughout Bismarck. Another event that we participated in was Capitol Pride, which is an annual event that happens to celebrate the LGBTQ 2S plus community. We had a booth and had that opportunity to speak and engage with residents, celebrate inclusion and diversity in Bismarck. And another event, we're pretty active out there. We sponsored and participated in the Juneteenth event, an event that celebrated freedom and culture and was filled with learning and community spirit. A really great opportunity, as I've highlighted, in Juneteenth and other events to talk to our residents and celebrate the mission of the Human Relations Committee. And I'll turn it over to Sargiana.
I also would like to thank Tia for her service beyond a year. I'm Sargiana Witzke, and I'm the newly elected chair of the Human Relations Committee. Just a few more things that we've done. There was an event with High Plains Fair Housing that we participated in. They had an event that they showed the movie Evicted, as well as there's community leaders who talked and came together to discuss home ownership and the gap and other barriers with housing in our community. And committee members were able to visit with those attending that event and to talk about our committee. One thing that we've done in the past year, which is new, is a community conversations forum. The Community Conversations Forum is an opportunity for us to facilitate conversations about different adversities that many of our neighbors in the community face. Each time we have the Community Conversations Forum, we have a panel of subject matter experts addressing various issues in the community with the hopes of building an ongoing conversation with the City Commission. So after these community conversations, we come back to the City Commission and report what the information from the Community Conversations Forum. In 2024, we had 3 events, and the topics that were focused on in those events were being a diverse community, accessibility, and housing. And just for everyone to know, our next community conversation is May 8th. It is actually going to be in this room this time, and it's going to be at 6 o'clock. We are asked by the Transportation Steering Committee to facilitate this community conversation in regards to transportation. As many of you know, there's a half-cent sales tax that was voted on and approved in November, and we will be having a discussion on different possibilities and what the public wants as far as that funding goes and what input the public sees as far as barriers and gaps as far as transportation goes. My favorite thing about being on the Bismarck Human Relations Committee is the podcast I get to host. These Are Your Neighbors is a podcast that Tia and I host. We just aired episode 53 today, and many of you sitting at that table know very well about our podcast because you've been on it. In the past 2 years, we've hosted Commissioner Cleary, Commissioner Risch, and Mayor Schmitz on the podcast. And what the podcast is, it's all-encompassing for change makers in our community, people who make a difference in our community and encourage others in our community as well to make a difference. Our podcast airs on Dakota Media Access, on Radio Access, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m., and is on a bunch of streaming platforms as well. So I really encourage you to tune in to learn about the amazing people in our community. Some being Paul Redmond is one of our guests coming up. She's on the park board. We have Don Kopp, who's been on it, from the Downtowners, Renee Mock from Public Health, and Jim Barnhart from the Dream Center. Those are just a few people who've been on our podcast. So we really encourage you to listen to that. So as you can see, we had a jam-packed year, and we are excited for 2025 coming up. So we really encourage you, though, to think about those people in our community who make a difference and really nominate them for the Humanitarian of the Year, so we have a plethora of people to choose from. So thank you so much for letting us present tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for him? Thanks, ladies. Next, item B, consider the request to receive presentation and recommendations on Tyler Parkway Extension Project and provide direction to staff. Gabe?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The item, as you mentioned, is our Tyler Parkway proposal from West Century Avenue to Ashcooley Drive. The program for this evening will include Derek Anderson from Apex Engineering to give a presentation on the project, what we've done so far. We'll have some input provided by our fire chief and our police chief, and then I'll come back up at the end here to provide recommendations, as well as then take any questions that you may have. So as we make our way through the presentation, if you have technical questions for Derek on any of the subject matter that he's referring to, please interrupt him at that time. That'd be a good opportunity to ask those questions as we go. So with that, here's Derek.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As Gabe mentioned, I'm here to present on the Tyler Parkway project. I'm Derek Anderson with Apex Engineering Group. I'm the project manager. Talk a little bit about the project. Most of you know about it. This project is broken up into two distinct portions. The extension portion is shown on the screen in orange. Essentially, is the extension of the roadway from Valley Drive up to Cogburn Road. The secondary part of the project would be the study area from Century Avenue over to Ashcooley Drive, looking for improvements along that corridor. The purpose and need of the project, the need is essentially to improve the street and trail connectivity in Northwest Bismarck. As the expansion and development continues to occur in Northwest Bismarck, the need of the roadway is getting larger. This project has long been supported in multiple planning studies dating back to 1996 in the long-term transportation plan, as most recently mentioned in the last year's update of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Along with that, one key benefit of this project would be the improve the emergency response time in Northwest Bismarck. Getting into some of the traffic and traffic data and some of the trends, when we looked at this project, we tried to identify how the vehicles were moving, and so we obtained streetlight data, which essentially uses cell phone data to find where these trips are generated from and where they're going to. And so, in essence, we looked at trips generated in the northwest part of the city, essentially north of Century Avenue and west of Washington Street, and trying to find those destinations that were heading down to the Tyler Parkway Century Avenue intersection. What we found out was 95% of those trips that were being generated were currently utilizing Tyler Parkway, essentially through Valley Drive or Ashcooley. With this project, there would be an increase in traffic. There would be essentially a 5% increase of some of those existing travel patterns that would now be routed onto the Tyler Parkway corridor. Here's some traffic data, essentially explaining some of the opening day traffic projections. And so the numbers highlighted in red, essentially, those are the opening day traffic without the extension, if the extension would not be built. Those traffic numbers highlighted in blue would indicate the traffic numbers with the extension being built. As you can see, if you look on the left of the screen, there is an increase along Tyler Parkway with the extension being built. But what you also do see is along Valley Drive, there is a decrease of those traffic, as that traffic is getting redistributed off of Valley Drive and onto Tyler Parkway. In purple, you'll see the 2050 ADT. That is a number through the MPO study, the long-term plan. Essentially what that takes into account is future development, full development in Northwest Bismarck. Essentially that would be the traffic pattern that would come down Tyler Parkway. Just note, as mentioned before, 95% of those trips are currently utilizing Tyler Parkway. Without that extension, likely a similar number of increase in traffic would occur along the corridor, with or without the extension. We did do some speed analysis along the corridor, 2 locations south of Valley Drive. There's a 25-mile-an-hour posted speed limit. What we found is greater than 90% of the public is traveling higher than the posted speed limit. And then by the school north of Cogburn Road, the 85th percentile speed is 42 miles an hour. So, we did hear a lot of public comments about speed and speed concerns, and it was evident in some of our findings also. Talk a little bit about the project alternatives. First, let's talk about the Tyler Parkway extension. For you today, there is 2 alternatives brought forward, a no-build alternative and the build alternative, essentially the extension of Tyler Parkway from Valley Drive to Cogburn Road. There'd be a 36-foot urban roadway with a 10-foot shared use path, lighting, and an earthened embankment across Tyler Coulee. With this alternative, there would be a sub option. Essentially, we heard a lot of concerns about some of the pedestrian usage in Tyler Coulee, and so there would be either an at-grade crossing or an underpass. That would be an option for you to decide on today. Here's a look at what this extension would look like. Essentially, there's an 8% grade going down up and down Tyler Coulee. This would be similar to an east divide over there by 33rd, 35th, the recently constructed 43rd Avenue, down by 16th Avenue. Those are similar, 7.5 to 8.5% grades, so it'd be similar to that. Within that earthen embankment, we would have a large storm drain conveying all the storm water through the coulee. We do, as you can see on the screen, there's a potential location for the pedestrian underpass option. We would make sure that the connectivity of the trail system was intact with the project. There's a shared use path on the west side of the roadway. And then the lighting essentially would be extended all the way from Valley Drive all the way to Ash Coulee as part of this project. That would be, everything else is kind of Valley Drive to Cogburn Road, but the lighting would be extended all the way to Ash Coulee. Here's a look at the typical section. Essentially, it's a 36-foot roadway. It's a little bit narrower than normal. 2 different reasons. One, there's not a lot of access points along this corridor. And the second is by minimizing the width of the roadway, we can help control the speed. If there's not a large, wide roadway, people feel less comfortable and drive slower. Tyler Coulee, it had some geotechnical challenges. In the very bottom of the coulee, there are some weak underlying soils. With this project, we will treat those soils with rock aggregate piers before we add the embankment on top of it. We did look at alternative embankments for this project. Those were all ended up being cost prohibitive. Essentially, at the end of the day, we chose the most cost-effective option, which was utilizing the embankment that's on site and adjacent to the project, is incorporated that as part of the project. With that, we would install the embankment year one, essentially, and then the roadway we would allow that to settle over winter, and then the following year we would pave the roadway. Here's a drone image of kind of looking to the east of Tyler Cooley. And essentially, here's a rendering of what this roadway would look like. This has a couple options included on it, including the pedestrian underpass option that you could potentially select tonight. As you can see, the trail connectivity is maintained through the coulee. We also have an option on the far right of the screen with the mini roundabout at the Valley Drive intersection. There was a couple alternatives that were considered, but ultimately not incorporated. We heard a lot of concerns about wildlife. We did look at wildlife crossings. Those are typically used on high-speed rural roadways, not necessarily lower-speed urban. The main probably takeaway for that is, in order for that to function correctly, the animals need to be funneled to this point. With that, you'd have some high fencing. That'd be woven wire fence. You'd have to fence in the coulee. It just wasn't practical or feasible. And how that works with the trail connectivity would be very difficult. The other alternative that was considered was a bridge that had a higher upfront cost. Along with that, there's maintenance concerns, inspections. Ultimately, there is a design life on bridges, and they would ultimately have to be replaced. And so that is not included as part of your package tonight. Environmental studies, the wetland delineation was done along the project corridor. Any impacts to those wetlands will be mitigated. There was a cultural resource survey that was done as part of the project. There was no findings, and that report was submitted to SHPO. There was a lot of concerns from the public about the noise. We did take a look at that from a high level. The noise would increase, but would be minor in nature. I guess it was not even close to meeting any thresholds for mitigation. And so it was not proceeded any further. Mitigation, including noise walls, are very difficult in an urban setting also. Talk a little bit about the traffic calming options. First, I want to talk about the area. Essentially, this is going to be south of the coulee now. First, I want to talk about West Century Avenue to Valley Drive. So with option 1A is essentially leave as is. There were some concerns from the public about some of the speeding along the corridor, and a lot of it has to do with the wide roadway. There's essentially a 48-foot street. There's on-street parking, but very few people actually park on the street, so it's kind of a thoroughfare. And so that's option 1A, would essentially leave it as is. Option 1B would essentially convert that to a 3-lane roadway. What that would do would constrict those lanes and give that narrowing effect and help control the speed along that corridor. Parking would be maintained along this corridor, with the exception of the area near the raised median that we would propose to install just north of Montego Drive. So that's option 1B. Option 2A, this is going to be very similar to 1A. We're going to leave it as this option would leave it as a 2-lane roadway. Parking would be maintained. I'll point out on this option and the next option, we have visually shown option 3s and 4. Those are intersection improvement options for the Country West and Valley Drive intersections. Essentially, there's the no improvement option. the mini or compact roundabout option or the raised median option. So with option 2B, was to be similar to 1B, essentially conversion to a 3-lane roadway. On-street parking would be maintained with the exception near the median island near Canyon Drive. With this option, all 3 of those intersection options would be viable. Option 2C is a little bit different. With this option, a raised median would be installed between Country West and Valley Drive. With this option, the only intersection improvements that could be installed would be the roundabout in order for motorists to circle around and get to their desired destination. Talked a little bit about the intersection options. So option 3 is at Country West. The no improvements would keep the stop condition on Country West and continue to keep Tyler Parkway as a through. The compact or mini roundabout, and then there's a median island option, which would give a traffic calming effect near that intersection, which would also give pedestrians some refuge at that intersection. Option 4 are the same 3 alternatives, no improvements, compact roundabout, and then the median islands. Talk a little bit about the public engagement process. We started our public engagement back in late November, early December. We started out with a public survey and released a story map for the project. From that, we got a lot of great information. We asked for volunteers to be part of the homeowner stakeholder committee. We had an overwhelming response for that, so we had to kind of narrow that down. So we selected those that were potentially most impacted as part of the project to attend that homeowner meeting. We selected people along Tyler Cooley and Tyler Parkway. From there, after that meeting, we further refined our alternatives and options and presented at the public input meeting last March. And we're here today for, direction from the commission on how to proceed. Talk a little bit about that initial survey. There was nearly 700 mailers were sent out to area residents. Those are kind of keyed in on the Tyler Parkway, Tyler Cooley area. In addition to that, we did have a lot of social media blasts to try to promote everybody within Bismarck to take the survey. We had some key takeaways. Those were increased the traffic. There were some concerns over increased traffic, which you heard earlier. The speed was a concern along the corridor, and then the safety. A couple things that were probably good to know about, especially about the people that use Tyler Cooley, is there was a high usage within Tyler Cooley itself, which helped kind of refine some of our alternatives going forward. And there was both support and opposition for the project. Public input meeting was well attended. We had close to 120 individuals show up for the meeting. We did have three commission members present. I appreciate that. We sent nearly 700 postcards. Those same people that were sent the original survey. Once again, the multiple social medias. There was a fair amount of people that spoke at the meeting. In addition to that, we did have 47 written comments that were submitted and 208 online responses to our survey. And the survey was essentially asking people what they wish to choose for along the corridor. All that information on all the public input is in your packet tonight in the public involvement report. Just want to go over some of go over all of the survey results from this last meeting, or from this last survey. Regarding the Tyler Parkway extension, which alternative do you prefer? It was nearly 50-50 with a slight edge to the no-build alternative A, with 106 respondents versus 102 for the alternative B. Of those people that selected alternative B, they had the option to choose what what option they wanted as far as the crossing. About 60% chose the underpass option. A couple key takeaways I think would be beneficial for the survey. 87% of respondents that lived along Tyler Parkway selected alternative A, and 77% of respondents that live in Northwest Bismarck, essentially outside Tyler Parkway, selected alternative B. So you can kind of see the contrasting viewpoints. Getting into the four options, option one, be a slight majority would prefer the 3-lane conversion. Option two, the build alternative slightly outweighs the no build, and the preference there would be a 3-lane section. When it comes to option 3 and 4, I guess the majority requested a mini roundabout be installed. Talk a little bit about the project costs. So the project costs, probably the number there includes some of the public input meetings that was just construction costs. This cost is an all-in. This is right-of-way engineering, utilities, construction costs in that $14 to $16.5 million range, depending on what is chosen tonight. The Tyler Parkway extension is right around that 14 to 14.5. Then depending upon what options are chosen, as you can see on the screen, anywhere from $0 to $2 million if everything is included. Reminder that this is funded by the half-cent sales tax, which was mentioned before. There will be no special assessments to adjacent property owners as part of the project. Project schedule, we're at bullet point number 4 right now. We're in that concept approval. Depending on the wishes of the commission tonight, we would go to work and work on final design, ultimately having plans ready for bid in November, start construction early next year. As far as the embankment would be placed next year, then the roadway would be built the year after. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Gabe, and he's going to talk a little bit more about some of the recommendations.
Mayor and Commissioners, I just want to let you know we did hold a staff meeting with various departments that are affected or could be affected by this, and through that conversation, it was, I guess, recommended that we bring up those departments, in particular the law enforcement and fire, that can speak on their own behalf and not necessarily have it through our consultants' viewpoint or through mine. So with that, I think I'll have Joel Baseflug, our Chief Baseflug, Fire Chief, come up first.
Mayor and Commissioners, good evening. Out of full respect for all of the input, my comments are just simply limited to the fire response into this area and the facts that would be before us. So speaking to the emergency response, this connectivity would be advantageous to us and the people we serve. I believe it would cut off 3 to 4 minutes as we get into an area. So we always look at how can we improve service, and anytime we can connect street networks, such as on Century Avenue connecting over to 52nd, that over to Gold Avenue, that allows us much better access into the lower part of Silver Ranch. So these are things that we look forward to in order to better serve our customers. I don't know a lot about the raised medians. That I'd like to work with Gabe some more to learn more, but I'm wondering if that would obstruct some of our abilities through here. Maybe, maybe not, but that's one thing I would have to dig more into. I should mention sirens. Sometimes we hear the sirens, and what our intent is that we don't use them when they're not needed. If it's the middle of the night, there's no need for that. They're sometimes needed, but we'd like to be respectful to the persons that are in a corridor, any street that we're traveling through. So in summary, yes, this would connect our Tyler Parkway station, which is on Century and Tyler Parkway, up to the northwest. It would be an advantage, obviously.
Any questions? Thanks, Joel.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I really don't have anything to add to what the fire chief just said. It's the same thing for us, is just to be able to respond more quickly to those that are going to need us. So, and this gives us a more direct route to be able to do that.
I have one question for you, Chief. Just in reflecting on the options, not with the extension, but with the existing section of Tyler Parkway that they're talking about. We hear so many people talk about speed. You and I have talked about speed up there. We've listened to them. Is there one of those slowing options that you view better? I know the engineers all have their input, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's. I don't know that I want to go against what they've studied and everything.
Sure.
Sometimes it does seem to me that when things are not as wide open, people tend to go a little bit slower because. To be honest with you, I get on West Century. As soon as I look down, I'm doing 45 because it's just wide open 5-lane road. And so maybe if you can compact things, I think that kind of makes sense to me.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So the last couple slides that we have here today are for decisions. So this is what we would like some feedback on with the direction that we're on currently. If you'd like a different direction, this is really the opportunity for the board to take all the information that you've heard so far, that we've prepared and that you've received directly from the public to move forward in whatever way that you desire. So on the screen that we have here, as well as in the agenda packet, I put what would be our staff recommendation or engineering's recommendation for which alternatives to pursue. If you agree with those, then we'll proceed in that manner. If you would like other options to be considered or any other direction, we would also take that at this time. So first question is, do you concur with the project concepts as proposed? We'd recommend yes there. Second question is, what alternatives should proceed with the project? We have the alternative of the no build, and then we have the alternative of extending Tyler Parkway from Valley Drive to Cogburn through all the stuff that's up there in terms of the components that we're referring to. And it would be my recommendation to choose alternative B for this project. If alternative B is selected, I would recommend that we install that pedestrian underpass to promote the continued utilization of that trail network by those members of the public that don't want to cross at grade and just want to stay in the Cooley network itself. As we move on to the options, these options were the traffic calming options that we had discussed or that Derek had mentioned earlier. So option one was the traffic calming between Century Avenue and Country West Road. I would recommend that we put our 3-lane section out there, put a raised median between Montego and Santa Gertrudis Loop, in order to slow those speeds as well as we can with the improvements that we have listed here. So I'd recommend option 1B there. As we look at option 2, which traffic calming plan should be implemented between Country West Road and Valley Drive. Here's kind of the spectrum that we gave here was on the far end is do nothing. On the other far end is a treatment that we believe would slow traffic down, but it comes with some trade-offs with that option 2C. The raised landscape median, because we would have to remove parking so that vehicles would go slow. That's not something that I would recommend that we pursue with this project. So I would recommend here option 2B, which is that pavement marking with the 3-lane section and a raised median pedestrian crossing at Canyon Drive with maintaining on-street parking except near the median. And the last slide that we have today is what intersection improvements should be implemented. This is a scenario that also we can give the do nothing, keep the stop signs the way they are. We do have guidance in the federal Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices that we should not be putting stop signs up in places where they're not warranted. There's some latitude that's granted in these documents, and there's other times it's more of a shall statement, and that is definitely a shall statement to say don't do that. That's not good traffic calming procedures, and that's nationwide. So we're trying to follow those guidelines, so that's why we don't even give you the option of an all-way stop. It's not something that we considered, or I should say it's something we considered, but then discounted because it did not meet those standards. But we would recommend at both of these intersections at both Country West Road as well as Valley Drive to implement a mini roundabout in order to slow traffic down, to proceed through that mini roundabout slower. It also has some operational benefits by allowing any traffic that might be on the side streets of Country West Road Country West Road and Valley Drive to gain access onto Tyler Parkway as well. So it kind of kills a couple of birds with one stone in those scenarios. But this would be, once again, a mini roundabout, so it would not be the full-scale type roundabout. There's limited right-of-way to place this, so we'd have to find that type of design that still allows a fire truck to go through it if they need to, a school bus to go through it, if they need to, even a semi for that matter, to go through these intersections. They might have to use more of that truck apron in order to do so, but it does have a traffic calming benefit for all those normal pickup trucks, cars, SUVs, etc., that the daily drivers use. So with that, I take any questions that you may have on the project, anything we've done, and go from there.
Commissioner Risch.
I just have a question about the increased traffic. Your engineer said just a few percentage points, and one of the members of the public said it could go up as high as 30-40%, or 30,000 cars a day. What are your thoughts on the increased traffic if this is built?
Mayor, Commissioner Risch, fellow commissioners, anytime we do a traffic plan or a study, we take a look at what trip attractants are there, so the development that could occur. Those types of developments could be houses, could be businesses, whatever it is, will generate trips. We'll use the land use plan that's current at that point in time, and then understand how much develops in that horizon. So that's kind of the basis of this. So our current plan in 2024, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, takes into account all of the concepts and plans and provisions that you have in your comprehensive plan of where we think we're going to develop, what's in our urban service area boundary, what does this community look like by 2050, and implements that and integrates that all into a transportation plan that says, here's a 1 acre of residential development, it's going to generate X number of trips. Let's figure out where those trips need to go by the network, by connecting this network up. So I have much more trust in the accuracy of the projection that we would have today with today's assumptions. When we go back into 2011, that I can't speak specifically to when the land use plan was updated, but the flood that we've had changed our whole outlook on Northwest Bismarck. Previously, we looked at all the area below River Road as prime real estate for the city of Bismarck to develop and grow into. It was only until after the flood that we really changed that position and changed a lot of that future land use to be a rural in nature that doesn't generate as much traffic. So we're seeing the differences likely because of the density that we would have expected. I should say even in that 2011 plan, it would have included full development of the Claremont Family Conservation Park. That would have been apartments, because that's what it was zoned for or programmed for at the time in 2011. We all know that that's not going to happen. It's going to be a green space, I guess, forevermore. So we try to take all of the current situation and current understandings and place that in our plan. And so I would just have more trust in our current plan than we would on the 2011 plan or the 1996 plan or the 1950 plan. You just lose the accuracy the further back you go.
Other questions? Not at the moment, anyway. You might not be off the hook.
Okay. We take direction. Our recommendation would be to approve as presented. Take any other questions you may have.
Okay. Commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner Singer.
Mayor, Commissioners, I mean, it's my portfolio, so I'm been well entrenched in this process. I do appreciate the comments from the public, and I'm sure if the chief had his ways, we probably have more police staff out there to take care of the speeders, because they're not just on Tyler Parkway, they're not just on Divide or Century. I mean, just the other day, I was pulling out of the Hay Creek shops onto State Street or 83, whatever you want to call it. Gentleman in I think it was a gentleman, it was a yellow motorcycle. They were in the straight lane. Before I knew it, they were in front of me, taking a right, dropped the hammer and went up State Street type thing, and then sped off. Unfortunately, the only way to control speeding, Commissioner Cleary, is the person behind the wheel. That's the only way. We can advocate for not to have speeders and those types of things, but unless you're controlling that vehicle and making sure you're driving safely, it's just not going to happen. I mean, I've been honked at before going past Bismarck High driving 25 because people are going past me 30, 35, 40 miles an hour. So I appreciate those comments and I understand those comments, and they are real.
because it does happen. The calming effects that are here, when Gabe and I sat down, I wholeheartedly support them. Every roundabout that we've added to our network of streets has calmed traffic. I'll use the second leg of 43rd as an example. We, of course, maybe none of you were here, but I was here. We had a long discussion about traffic signals and those types of things. Well, it wasn't warranted to put a traffic signal up, so we went with the option of roundabouts. And I drive 43rd a lot as I navigate my work life, and they do. It does slow down traffic. The one that we added on 19th and Calgary, some people seem to maybe cut that a little bit too short, but it does do the same thing. And there's a lot of residents that are east of 19th that are happy that was put in. They were really excited when the four-way stop finally went in, but they were very excited when the roundabout went in. So it does serve its purpose. It does do what we need it to do. I understand the concern from the people on Tyler Parkway, but we also have to take into consideration the rest of the city. Their concern is valid, but this is a street, and one of the gentlemen acknowledged it, right? It goes back multiple commissions about going north and south within the city. And it's the most frustrating thing. And we're gonna have a tough construction season this year going north and south because one of our critical paths is getting a new bridge because of the construction on I-94, right? Which puts even more pressure on 9th and 7th and State Street and those types of things. So that's what I have for comments. I'll let the rest of you comment if you want. But this is a project that is critical for us for the city of Bismarck.
Commissioner Conley.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Gabe, this is probably one of the most significant corridors I've spent my last 10 years having a conversation about. And a lot of it's under when I was more of a citizen advocate. I've knocked on a lot of doors in this community. I've talked to a lot of people. I've had a lot of conversations with people along the corridor. And that I was even in meetings with stakeholders between developers and citizens. And one of the conversations that did come up a lot, they knew it would be more expensive, was the access of nature up and down to provide opportunity for green space. When projects go in new, you only have one opportunity to take that swing and make it something special. I agree with the citizens in that area to where that coulee is very unique. It's very dynamic. Over on Century, although there's been significant engineering mistakes with that bridge, that's plenty of meetings in that. A lot of people really like that corridor underneath. It allows an opportunity for nature. It connects parks and golf courses and a lot of multiple functions that coincide with both parks and neighborhood spaces. Well, by just putting an embankment there, even with just a pedestrian, like at the meeting where you shared, nature will find its own way around. It will. We all know that. At the same time, how can we create it more special to where it can stay within where it's roamed this entire time? It's going to be a development. We need to expand. I have heard from people all over town, and some of the comments I've heard are, why should one neighborhood hold the rest of the community's growth hostage? Now, I don't know if that is the case or it's not, but it's a valid comment. They deserve just as much credibility as the people that live in that neighborhood. As far as values of homes, I've been here since 1991. The only area that I've ever heard within our greater area to where values of homes are significantly impacted was along Schick Lane, which is out in the county. And they have chemical problems that their $750,000 houses are barely worth $200,000 because of the sediments in the soil. outside of that, I have not seen, like, when looking at repos to purchase, that you'd think there would be a large difference. People buying nearly what the cost of an actual home is in order to gain that extra value of making those investments. I don't see the valuation impacts. It is part of every single conversation that has come up. I've watched meetings after meetings, whether it's county, whether it's city. Traffic, like Commissioner Zanker said, that's part of the topics. And safety of kids, and it's a lot to consider. There's a lot on the map. Property values. I have not seen or witnessed significant properties decreasing, and it comes up a lot. There's even one project that I can't remember is on this meeting, or it could be coming up, about one resident talking about kids playing along the 83 and 40 or 57th corridor. I don't know how to wrap my mind around that. And that, so, but the Commissioner Zanker mentioned the 19th roundabout. I do like roundabouts. When I first went and people were using that like a functioning roundabout, it was working well. I don't think we need to work with the elevation a little bit. There are people blowing past it, and it's a race to see who can get in that area first before they just go straight through, and they're not using it as a functional roundabout. Some people are, not all of them. The neighborhood in that area, because I've knocked on those doors, they do like the roundabout better than the four-way stop. It does move traffic. So for the corridor, 3-lane Country West and Valley with a higher raise on roundabouts, I would be, and the raised median to do what we can to slow traffic. I would also, I guess this would be a question game. Flashing pedestrian lights at Country West and even Valley. Is that something that can be added into the mixed?
Mayor and Commissioners, Commissioner Conley, I guess at this point in time, we didn't identify every single component that we would consider. We want to reserve the use of our rectangular rapid flash beacons, in particular at locations where they have the most benefit and where it's most apparent that there's a conflict with the pedestrian and that vehicle. Usually we've reserved that for multi-lane facilities where the inside lane might be yielding to a pedestrian they see, but that outside lane doesn't know that that's happening. So this rectangular rapid flash beacon allows for that communication to occur, to alert the drivers of that pedestrian in the crosswalk or about to be in the crosswalk. We've used it on higher speed facilities, and we've also then used it in areas where school traffic is there. So at this point in time, it's probably not something that we've identified that we'd want to put it here based on not overusing it. But I wouldn't want that to be the component that loses the support for what we're doing. So it's something we would consider, but at this point in time, it's probably not something that we are proposing as part of this build alternative.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Three-way, I just think the access of a turn lane, I mean, the changes on South Washington and seeing how many people drive excessively and where you get that protected space for turning, I think that portion's vital. Switching over to the communication side of things, communication's been a big concern of a lot of people of how the city communicates. And over the years, the avenues by where we try to reach out to the community and even efforts to improve that have gone up significantly. And we have data to show that people have at least opened up a website and those type of things. At the same time, when this came up last fall, and I talked about that as far as community input and things, I'm told whether it's the East Century Project, whether it's the South Washington Project, or a lot of other things, well, we're just doing this right now, and that'll come later. Well, in all three cases, that later is a one-and-done public input meeting. And even at last meeting, I asked if we could postpone it until after all of those, so we're taking a serious look at all the comments. And it was crickets. And that, I don't like when we dismiss citizens. It really rubs me wrong. And offered options on how to get over that, and very frustrated. Very frustrated. So during the public input meeting, and just like the video, the thing, it wasn't included in the packet, but we're showing it here. Well, if citizens and developers are talking about a nature corridor, regardless of cost, it seems like it's almost like Lucy holding the football. Here you go. We were talking about it. Okay, no, we pulled it away. So it goes flying. It's frustrating. So I don't know. This is probably, or could be close to the last project on the half cent. I'd like to see more development on consideration for a pedestrian nature bridge or nature space, even if you had to build fencing, or the bridge. The rendering up there, it was obvious. It's an interstate overpass. It's really not. Everything else is built into what Tyler Parkway looks like. And on that, it's almost like, we'll just throw this up there, carry on. I don't like. So those are some of the considerations that and it's unfortunate, but fortunate that this is when that discussion happens, but there's a lot to unpack still.
Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Rich?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Gabe, what we do know is we have trouble with moving traffic around the city, and we're getting more and more traffic. And what we do know, if this is built, the people on Tyler Parkway will get more traffic. There's no question about that. And what we do know was in 2018, the voters actually approved the sales tax, including Tyler Parkway. Those are the things we do know. It's a tough decision. I met with some of these people several weeks ago and talked about the issues they have, and they're sincere. They're going to have a lot more traffic by their homes. But currently, that traffic is going into other residential neighborhood streets because we haven't got Tyler Parkway connected. So, my thoughts are that, this has been on the drawing board for about 30 years. I think it's pretty necessary we do something to have a better connection from the north down south, even if it does cause some hardships. More traffic, and these folks are friends of mine, and, just reality.
Anything else, commissioners? What are your?
Mayor, Commissioners, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Do we have further discussion? Commissioner Rich?
Well, I wanted to make one other comment. The Game and Fish Department is trying to put in more ponds, community ponds in the state. In fact, Greg Power from the Game and Fish Department in his last podcast talked about it. And I know we're going to be dealing with drainage and whatnot. And if this goes forward, perhaps we could do a community pond. Game and Fish Department provided they'd stock the pond with fish so children in the neighborhood have a place to go fishing, because it's a really good thing. We have one in Cottonwood Lake in South Bismarck. We got one in Gabe Pond over there at the Game and Fish Department, and it's kind of a hoot thing for children to go fishing. I take my little great nephews to these ponds.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zenker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Motion carries. Next item, C. Hearing on an appeal for zoning map amendment ZC 204-008 associated with Misty Waters. Misty Waters first replat and Misty Waters second replat. Ben?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Let me just switch over my computer here. I've got a map online that may help with some of the discussion as well. access at some point. Okay, thank you, Mayor. As the mayor noted, the Community Development Department is appealing the denial of a zoning map amendment associated with project ZC 2024-008. The property is located in northwest Bismarck, northwest of Bismarck, west of River Road, and adjacent to the west side of the north-south running portion of Burnt Creek Loop. Project area is comprised of 151.4 acres within 120 parcels in 4 blocks. Future land use associated with the proposal is rural residential, and the existing zoning is a PUD or planned unit development. And essentially what this initial proposal was, and I'll go into a little bit more detail here, but it was to replace a PUD with another PUD, with the primary change being the rear yard setback for, and I'll go into detail on which lots are impacted, but it would be Block 1, lots 5 through 12, 14 through 16, 18 through 25, 27 through 29, 31 through 38, 40 through 55, 57 through 62, 64 through 83 of Misty Waters subdivision, as well as Block 1, lots 1 through 3, Misty Waters first replat, which is represented in a surveyor's affidavit. This is an excerpt from that surveyor's affidavit that you see on the screen, which is in your packets, and it generally is consistent with the interior, what I'll refer to as the interior edge of an existing stormwater and drainage easement that runs adjacent to the bay, essentially between the bay and Misty Waters and the homes in Misty Waters. In addition, Block 1, Lot 3 of Misty Waters first, which is essentially this lot right here, a 50-foot setback from the property line was identified as the stormwater and drainage easement on the lot. Did not coincide with the, or did not actually cross the lot. Other changes that I would say are more minor and probably more clerical in nature. One of those changes would be the conformance or a reference to residential building types that homes or structures must meet. Staff does not actually have access to this document that was referenced, I think, from early on in the PUD. To my knowledge, we've never had access to it, or we're not aware that we ever have. Reference to specific number of single and two-family building types, as much of the area or certain portions of the area have been replatted multiple times, and the originally identified lot configurations no longer exist to support the specific number of single and two-family dwellings. And then reference to a lot modification process in Bismarck's, and we're recommending eliminating that from the PUD, as Bismarck zoning ordinance already outlines the exact same process in Title 14. The requested action considers whether the requested action tonight actually considers whether to uphold the final decision of the Bismarck Planning and Zoning Commission, who did not approve the proposed zoning map amendment, or whether to overturn that decision and hold a public hearing at a future date. I did want to. There were 5 members of the public that spoke. The Planning and Zoning Commission, I should reiterate, did host a public hearing on this item on March 26th of this year. There were 5 members of the public who did get up and speak on the item. 3 members were supportive of the change. 2 members were in opposition to the change of those who got up and spoke. If you'll permit me, I generally kind of outline what some of the concerns are, especially from the opposing parties. So if you'll permit me, I'll kind of identify what those are, and some of those are actually in the question or actually in the form of a question. And you may have some of these same questions or or concerns, so I can provide at least staff level's response to some of these questions. So I'll walk through these questions that were raised. One of the questions is, why is the setback being changed at all? Staff response: a variety of lots are out of compliance with the setback. In 2024, the rear yard setback for some of the lots out of compliance, which included lots 30 through 36 and 38 through 39 of Block 1 in Misty Waters subdivision, were amended to align with the interior edge of, so it would be essentially this, oh, I'm sorry, you can't see my pointer. See if you can, okay. So it'd essentially be associated with this cul-de-sac here. And so currently, a variety of these lots, with the exception of lot 37, their setback was changed to the thick black line, and I should have noted that. The thick black line on this image on your screen essentially represents that interior edge of the 20-foot drainage easement that runs adjacent to the bay. And following that action, direction was sought and provided by you all to identify essentially a new rear yard setback line for all lots adjacent to the bay in Misty Waters. As you recall, some of you may recall that the current setback line is a 2005 letter of map revision line that was established. There was a concern raised over the ability to regulate the setback, whether, regardless of what it is, whether it's the 2005 letter of map revision line or whether some new setback is identified. I can speak to our current process and how we review homes or structures as they're developed out here. We do require a lot survey, and as part of that lot survey, we have been requiring for the past 4 years at least, that the current setback of the 2005 Lomar line be identified in there on that lot survey. If that rear yard setback were changed, I anticipate we would also require, if it were, say, for instance, what is being proposed here with the interior edge of the lot line, we would require that interior edge, that lot line, be identified, as well as any easements on the property, so we could ensure that we're reviewing the appropriate material. There was a question about how many lots are non-compliant structures or built over the 2005 letter of map revision line without this change. I'll note that the lots in question whose rear yard property line would be proposed to change would be a total of 76 lots. Of those 76 lots, there's between 5 and 10 lots that would remain non-compliant. And why I say between 5 and 10, we know of at least 5. Last summer we sent out, or actually last spring, early spring, we sent out letters. We did a visual analysis using that 2005 Lomar line, identifying homes that might be right on that line or just over. The GIS data that we have, although helpful, is not necessarily survey quality data, so we weren't sure if it was actually compliant or not, and so there were about 17 properties that we identified that may be in question. Of those 17 properties, we have confirmed whether they're either over that line because we went out and they allowed us to survey that property, or they did a survey themselves, or not compliant. There were roughly, I guess, 5 of those 17 property owners who we just didn't get a response from after a few times contacting. And frankly, once we got the direction to move forward with establishing a new setback line out there, I didn't pursue it. I thought it was a moot point at that point, so could be up to 10 lots. There was a question if FEMA had been notified of the proposed rear yard setback change. And just so you're aware, the letter of map revision is not typical or typically used as a setback. It's used as a way to basically modify a map to remove a property from being in the floodplain. And so from FEMA's perspective, they don't regulate rear yard setbacks. I do believe at least some of their staff is aware of this setback issue, but it's not within their purview or their jurisdiction to regulate whatever the setback line is in Misty Waters. There's a question as to what is the lot coverage for residential lots out in Misty Waters. I think this was in reference to lots adjacent to the bay. And generally, it would be 30% lot coverage for single-family homes and 40% for multifamily homes, according to the PUD. Does the city of Bismarck have the authority to initiate a zoning change? The answer to that is yes. Title 14 allows the city to initiate a zoning change of this nature. Can known violations be grandfathered in? No, unfortunately, our current Title 14 does not allow that, but it does allow for a couple other measures. One of those is being proposed in front of you today. That's to change the zoning. The other option would be to move through the variance process from the identified zoning requirement. There was a concern over taking or taking in terms of the government taking property or not adequately compensating a property owner for what is perceived to be an impact to their rear yard setback change with this proposal. And I can show you in a map version a little bit easier. So this, the yellow lot line, or the yellow lines you see on the screen are basically property lines, lot lines out in Misty Waters. This particular property here, I think, highlights the concern that was raised. Are we going to compensate people for areas that they're no longer able to develop with the new setback line? So let me explain a little bit what the other lines on this map are. And by the way, this was, I think, available to the public to review as well. They had access to this information and still do. It's available online. But the sort of black dashed line that you can see on your screen, that would be the interior edge of the stormwater and drainage easement. This sort of diagonal red dashed line shape here represents the full area, essentially, of the stormwater and drainage easement. So this, for instance, this red solid line would represent the closest to the bayside line of the 20-foot stormwater and drainage easement. So this area where my arrow is pointing is essentially the stormwater and drainage easement. The green hatched line or shape represents the area that was encompassed by the 2005 letter of map revision. And so now that those lines and those different shapes are explained, the concern is that if this dashed black line here becomes the new setback line, well, what if the 2005 line is what is currently the setback? You're essentially removing some developable area from person's property, and I think from staff's perspective, this is area they never had to develop to begin with. For one, they can't develop if there's a stormwater and drainage easement on their property. They're not allowed to develop in there. And in addition to that, the Misty Waters Homeowners Association has defined this dashed black line as being their rear yard setback line. So essentially, there's really no impact to some of these properties, and there's a few of them in the subdivision. But essentially, there would be no negative impact from, I guess, our perspective, from area that they aren't allowed to develop, that they weren't to begin with. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mayor, Commissioners, Ben, sorry to interrupt, but
Nope, go ahead.
I just want to acknowledge that we as a city do not
That's correct.
hold homeowners associations, covenants, or those types of things to our jurisdiction.
Right.
So if they don't want green fences in those, that's their deal. That's not our deal. So I find the fact that the line that the homeowners association approved is kind of irrelevant because we still have to go to our ordinances. Is that correct?
I would say, I don't know that it's irrelevant from a development standpoint, and the argument that they can't develop in that, or they could develop in that area. I would agree with you that we would not enforce that line if they adopted it. Any more questions before I move on? Okay. Let me move back to the larger screen. Okay. Okay. I think probably the last item I'll touch on in terms of the concerns that I noted from the meeting is actually the concerns of the planning and zoning commissioners. And really I don't know what was in their minds, but I guess I'm interpreting from what I heard from the conversation from at least two of the planning and zoning commissioners that voiced concerns and ended up voting not voting in favor of the motion to approve this change. But I think there's sort of two concerns that I was able to discern from the comments. But one is there appeared to be opposition and a focus on not favoring changing rules for the entire subdivision to address perhaps a few lots that might be out of compliance. And I think some of the suggestions that at least were discussed is perhaps going through the variance process was perhaps a more appropriate mechanism in their opinion. It is certainly, and I'll say from a staff perspective, it is certainly something we considered. A variance is not a guarantee. I don't know where the Board of Adjustment would go on this, but I think in communication with our prior legal counsel, this was kind of the direction that was wasn't kind of, it was a viable option that appeared to be less filled with risk than the variance process, just because of the uncertainty if a variance would be approved.
Commissioner Zinker.
Mayor, Commissioners, Ben, I think one thing we got to remember too, when you talk about the variance, I don't know what we would give for the hardship, right? Yep. Because it is very well known that we do not give hardships based on financial scenarios. So I don't know what hardship they would have by going to the variance board or the Board of Adjustment.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. Was there anything else on that item? No, I think some of those concerns may have factored into the decision that maybe the first option was not to pursue the variance route. If it is an option you would like us to pursue, it is certainly something we could pursue. But again, we'll have to identify some of those hardship areas. And I think maybe from a staffing and a builder perspective and a property owner perspective, I think going the variance route starts to add even more complexity out there. Right now, there's, for the homes next to the bay, there's essentially two different setbacks that are being considered. One of those setbacks is for, let me pull up my pointer again. One of those setback standards is for this cul-de-sac, who has for the most part, has the interior edge of the I'm sorry. There we go. Sorry. So the interior edge of the stormwater easement, the remainder of the homes adjacent to the bay have the 2005 Lomar line in there. If we go the variance route, we could be including 5 to 10 different homes with other setbacks that differ from those two, I just think it could add to some of the complexity of the various different setbacks that exist out there right now. I don't know that would be from a longer term administrative perspective. I don't know that would be the cleanest route, but if that's a route you would prefer we go, we can certainly move that direction. Any questions on any of those items? That's pretty much the extent of the comments and questions that were voiced.
I mean, I was there.
Mhm.
I concur, and I also had expressed the concern of the variance not probably being extremely viable because of dollars is not a hardship. And so, and also that this was the wish of this commission directing staff to come up with this plan. So.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Conley. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring you.
No, you're good. I do want to say that I've also watched the planning and zoning, and one thing that I do support for communication's sake and things, there was a lot of people that commented that this is more money for the city. This is actually property that's in the county. The mayor brought that up, and that's always, we need to reiterate that as much as we can, because outside of the fees to advertise and whatnot, there's no financial benefit. There's a financial benefit to the counties based on valuations, but not the city. And I was sitting there going, well, I would be saying this if I was in that room, and the mayor did that very well. But for me, no houses were torn down. That happened at our last decision. There's been a lot of litigation. This has literally been going on for years. And I would be more inclined to support what the members of the planning and zoning determine. And I'll make that in a motion.
I did have a couple other items.
Sorry. I can hold off.
Yeah, and I can pause for any other questions, but I did have a couple other comments to make.
Sorry.
Before,
I'll withdraw the
before
motion for the time being.
Before we close. I can do that now. So at the conclusion of the planning and or the public hearing associated with the Planning and Zoning Commission, a motion did fail on a vote of 4-3 not to approve the request of the zoning map associated with the zoning project in front of you. So really what you're acting on tonight is it's not whether to approve the setback, it's whether to uphold the decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission or not. So if you uphold the decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission, the process ends here. The setback line will not be changed to this line at least. That's where the process ends. If you decide to overturn the Planning and Zoning Commission decision, then there would actually be another public hearing, and we would renotice that public hearing to those members who received adjoining property notices in the past. It would be noticed in the paper, and they would have an opportunity to speak at that meeting, and you would consider at that point whether to change the setback or not, and some of these other elements that I noted as part of the PUD. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Go ahead. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry, Commissioner Zenker. Should have let you speak.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, Mayor, Commissioner. So you're right, Commissioner Conley. This thing does go back a long ways. In fact, I wrote an email on August 13th of 2020 when we first heard. None of you were here, by the way. First heard the builder brought. They wanted to move the water drainage easement, and that's at that time there was a whole area of stuff that was going on. Right, the couple neighbors weren't happy. The builder was still building. I wrote that email a couple days after our meeting because I needed to let the dust settle, and I addressed it to Ben. Ironically, the other three people are no longer with us either. The former city administrator, city attorney, and the mayor. But I said, hey, what are we going to do with this home? and I flat asked, have we ordered to stop construction until all setbacks have been determined? Because that was, or have been verified. Because that was the crux of the issue. And then I asked another question about how based on the ordinance that Ben just addressed, are we even sure at that time they had got a new LOMAR to change what that delineated line is? I won't read the response. It's just that my point is this, is that this is what caused the issue for us to get here today. When I made the motion to have staff or direct staff to go and do the whole area, it was presented to us from the homeowners association that I previously acknowledged that we don't typically worry about covenants and those things, that they've talked to the people out there. And everybody was in, and the only reason why some people didn't get talked to was because they couldn't get a hold of them. So if that's the case, and at that time the lawsuit was settled, but obviously they didn't talk to everybody because there were some people who came up and spoke against it at the P&Z meeting. So I really question whether we should keep going down this path, because it seems like from 2020, all we've been trying to do is fix a problem on top of a problem to create another problem, and then here we are again today. Last year, at the end of the year, we had that special meeting. If you watch the special meeting and you watch the previous planning and zoning meeting to that, it's almost word for word identical, and you had to sit through it twice, Mayor, of what we had to listen to for 2 hours. And there was nobody speaking in rebuttal against that. So, in my opinion, now is we need to hold true to the P&Z, what they determined this last time. And quite honestly, we need to go back and the motion that was made to approve the change to the PUD, we need to have a deeper discussion about that, because I don't think at that time we were given all the correct information. We're doing this because somehow, some way, through the checks and balance system was failed, and this home was built over the setback. And not by, if it was by 4 or 5 feet, like the other homes, or maybe even 6 feet, the other homes, we don't know, because Ben acknowledged that, no one would even know, because no one's gonna pull a tape measure out for that. But if it's 48 feet, I mean, come on, when you drive out there and you look at that, even if you just look at the new updated Google Earth on the internet, you can tell that this thing just sticks out like a sore thumb. And I think that's the crux of the issue, is that us as a city didn't take care of the problem when it was a problem, and now it's just become the molehill has become a mountain. And that's in my opinion, that's the bottom line. That's the issue. I mean, if the inspections happened and the final inspection and those types of things, when that was an issue and we knew it, back in 2020, there should have been a stop on that project, and it should have been figured out at that time. Now, I can't tell you from this email where the house was. It might have been 95% finished. I don't know, or 40% finished. I have no idea. But for this to be drug out this long is just not acceptable. And we've known it. I got emails after emails going back and forth, and then as to what we're going to do with this home. And it should have never been able to be built, and it should have never ever got to this point. There's no questions in there, Ben.
I wasn't going to answer anything, so.
Commissioners, so the question before us is whether or not to, if I say this wrong, Ben, you got to tell me,
Sure.
to, I guess, uphold the Planning and Zoning's Commission, as you've appealed this for us to consider.
Correct.
Having a hearing to see whether or not we would adopt
Yes.
the new PUD, correct?
Yep, if you uphold it, the process ends tonight, and there's no more public hearing, and that setback line isn't changed. If you uphold Planning and Zoning Commission's decision. If you overturn it, we would set a new public hearing date, and there would be a public hearing on it, and then you would consider whether to accept the setback line or not.
Okay. Just want to make sure. That,
I move to uphold the decision from Planning and Zoning.
Second.
do we have discussion?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, where does it go from here if we don't address the issue? We assigned Ben this project to go draw this new line. We thought it would fix things. Misty Water zoning is the gift that keeps on giving, I guess. So if we'll just continue to have disputes, correct?
So that becomes my concern, because there are probably known for sure 5 homes that are over a line. There might be more, don't know. And so then, you know, I think it's going to keep on giving. Honestly, it's going to give more than if this PUD were adopted. That's my opinion. Commissioner Zinker, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Mayor, Commissioners, so, and you're right, Commissioner Risch, until we go back and we just reboot this whole thing, right? If you're an IT guy, the first thing they ask you is, hey, if you call them in, what do they say? Did you reboot your computer? You know, doesn't it bug you when they ask that question, by the way? I know, yeah. Anyways, but that's what would have to happen. And that's why I'll probably have to lean on our city attorney that we need to reevaluate the decision that we made when was that? August or September, whenever we had that special meeting. That obviously, based on this, was not the right decision. Right? Because the information we got was, hey, we're all in. Only thing we didn't get is everybody, and obviously, the people who are.
So actually, the same handful of people that were opposed then are opposed now, and they were opposed then as well through planning and zoning. And one of those persons that was opposed is not opposed anymore. In fact, I think he wants this to happen.
Well, we can't go on speculation, though, sir.
No, I know that, but
yeah. So that would be that would be. I don't know how we would do that. We'd have to talk to Julie about that because it was a 5-0 thing. But maybe we just put it on the agenda for next meeting and have that discussion.
any further discussion? Commissioner Conley.
Just one point when you said you didn't know where the house was built. There was, in watching all of these meetings, at one point that made it to a public meeting, there was only a stake in the ground. So at some point in time, things weren't built out, and I can't remember if it was a county discussion or a city discussion, but at some point that discussion happened there, and then things got built and everything made it harder. So just no homes are being torn down. I think we need to move on and follow up with the PUD process that Commissioner Zenker talked about.
Any, Commissioner Clary?
I guess my question, because I agree, like, so homes aren't being torn down, but there are some out of compliance. So if we don't move forward with this plan where we're trying to kind of I guess I feel like it simplifies it, it's more all-encompassing, then are we going back and creating smaller PUDs for these homes? I guess, I agree that, like, it has been handled poorly and sometimes, and it's been going on for too long, but I just don't, like, this feels like how we move it forward. I don't know. I guess I don't know if I agree that, like, what the decision that we made about the PUD and the issue with that house was necessarily the wrong decision last year. So I guess I am torn with, like, not moving forward because I think that this provides a solution, and that's what we're looking for, because we can't go back 6 years and stop the construction now. We can't achieve, I mean, we can look into how we change what happened last year, but I guess I don't know then where that puts us. If we take back that decision from last year, then that puts us back to where, like, are we tearing down homes, or, like, what are we doing with this line? So I guess I don't know if I fully agree, but it's frustrating nonetheless, I guess I would say.
Commissioner Risch.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Sinker, so you're suggesting we should change the decision we made last August or whatever it is and have them tear down the homes?
I mean, sure, Commissioner Rich, and that's a fair question, right? I'll give you this example. I mean, obviously, I work in the construction industry. You know, if we have inspections, we have to have inspections. This home had inspections. I just don't understand how it passed all of those inspections, right, without this getting found out prior to this. Let's be honest. But if Brady's team comes to one of my job sites and there's something that they don't like and it fails an inspection, I don't get to say, hey, can I change the code? Can I appeal to the, I suppose there is a process to appeal to the city commission. Can I do that? Nope, you can't. You have to abide by that code. I mean, I told this to Doug Wiles when he was a forester. He is the most powerful guy within the city because if there's not the correct trees and bushes and stuff planted for landscaping, he doesn't sign off on the certificate of occupancy. I have to follow it. The developers have to follow that. How in the heck did this house not follow all of those constraints that are put on that and then get to this point? So yeah, it might have to, and there might be additional lawsuits, but the only way to become compliant is to follow the ordinances and follow the codes. I mean, I can't put a grease duct in a new restaurant and not wrap it. Brady's crew is going to be all over that because that's code. That's the ordinance. It's in the mechanical, we accept those things. And this is much, much bigger, right?
This is bigger because
we're talking anthills and mountains.
But in addition, the other part is, and none of us, going all the way back to the beginning, none of us were at the table here. None of the staff was probably even here when this whole development started. No, back to 2006, when this development was started. The setback line was but that's where the setback line started. And then there were interpretations made by various staff members or other people throughout the process where there were homes. It's not just one home that was built over this line that is the Lomar line, or whatever it was called before. 2006 Lomar line, was that it? I'm losing track of the items. But anyway, there were interpretations made that if you went in and got a letter of map revision, you changed your setback. That was what was interpreted. The Supreme Court of North Dakota changed that. And to make it be back to whatever it was.
But Mayor, and those are all valid points, but the only Lomar change out there on individual lots is this one. No other lots were individually changed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ben and Brady, because they'll have the most.
You might be right.
None of them were individually changed to do that.
You're probably correct. I don't.
So that's why I'm having such a hard time with this. The reason for the Lomar was because someplace along the line they figured out that they made a huge mistake, and this is an avenue to fix it. Didn't fix it.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm with you. But
we have an issue that we're trying to.
I don't think. Yeah, there's not.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be resolved if this is overturned. I don't think it will be. I think we're going to have bigger issues because I think we'll then have to direct city staff to issue a letter of noncompliance to every home that is over the line, and I think I don't know what the obligations are then. I don't know what those obligations are to the homeowner. So, and the variance isn't going to work because financial doesn't work. So that's why I think this was an alternative to solve some of those issues. So you aren't having 10 homes torn down or modified. Any other discussion? If not, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Risch?
No.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
No.
Mayor Schmitz?
No. So I think I need it. We have
I'm
to,
gonna go ahead and make a motion to, I guess I don't know what word you want me to use, but to overturn the P&Z decision and put in the request for the public hearing.
Second.
do we have discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Zanker?
No.
Commissioner Connolly?
No.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Next, item D, public hearing on request for a new Class I2 complimentary alcohol license for Downtown Business Association, doing business as downtowners at 122 North 4th Street. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak on this topic, please come forward. A second call for public comment. A third and final call for public comment. Hearing none, public comment period is now closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I move we hold a public hearing at the request of a new Class 1-2 complimentary alcohol for the Downtown Business Association of Bismarck.
This was the hearing.
It says
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
second.
You're thinking of bowling. You're thinking of bowling, aren't you?
Yeah.
Leaving the split. You got a spare. What do we got? going on?
Any discussion?
I guess I just want to point out I do sit on this board, so if anyone has an issue with me voting, okay.
If you'd be making money off the deal, then we'd have to have a different.
I'm not.
All right. Are you going
Any-
to contribute to buying it so you can give it away?
No.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Next item is a public hearing on ordinance 6612 to amend Title III regarding animal control protection. This is a public hearing on that. Anyone wish to speak, please come forward. Commissioner Risch?
Unless somebody from the public wants to come first. Doesn't look like it. Well, anyway, this is just a follow-up on the work we've been doing as far as animals at large. First of all, we changed it from a misdemeanor to an infraction. The problem with an infraction, you still have to appear in court if your dog gets out. So this actually takes it one step further, and it'll treat it as a non-criminal offense. So if your dog gets out, your neighbor complains, you'll get a ticket, a $100 ticket, rather than having to go to court. So it simplifies things. We take this stuff out of the judicial system. We free up the police officers' time. I think it's a good step forward.
I'll continue the public hearing if anyone else would wish to come forward. A second call for public hearing comments. Third and final call. Seeing no one, hearing no one, public comment is closed. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Risch?
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Item F, consider request to receive bids and award contract for water utility project WU 148. Find my stuff. Go ahead, Gabe.
I could get the screen up for a second here. Maybe. Getting closer here. All right. Mayor and Commissioners, WU 148 is the annual hydrant and valve replacement project funded through the Water Utility Fund The project opened bids yesterday. We had 5 bidders on the project. The low bid is Western Excavation LLC with a bid of $149,925. I should note this is above the CIP amount, but due to favorable bids on other water utility projects, there's enough budget when looking at the totality of that for this year to fund this project. So with that, our recommendation is to award to Western Excavation LLC for $149,925, and would take any questions you may have.
Commissioners, any questions?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Rish?
Yes.
Commissioner Zinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Next, item G, consider request to receive bids and accept recommendation to award contract for highway construction project HC 170. Go ahead.
Mayor and Commissioners, HC 170 is to improve the pedestrian crossing ability at the intersection of Main Avenue and 26th Street. So this project would install some signal modifications and put in the required ADA ramps on the west approach, allowing pedestrians to cross and utilize the sidewalks that are available along 26th Street in this corridor. We did bid this project in late 2024, and we repackaged this here recently, hoping to get better bid prices. We got pretty much the same bid prices, so we truly believe this is what it's going to cost to do this work. It is a little bit above what our engineer's estimate and the CIP for this item, so our recommendation would be to award this and use the funds available from the what was the Front Avenue and Washington Street project, signal replacement project. We had some sales tax dollars assigned for that improvement that were not used, so there's some excess funding available in that signal work that we'd like to apply those dollars to supplement this highway construction project 170. So with that, I take any questions you may have. So I should say we had 2 bidders, the low bidder being Strata Corporation with a bid of $95,550, and our recommendation would be to award.
Commissioners, any questions?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call roll.
Commissioner Zinker?
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly?
Yes.
Commissioner Cleary?
Yes.
Commissioner Rish?
Yes.
Mayor Schmitz?
Yes. Next item is to receive a legislative update from Jason Tamani.
Mayor and Commissioners, draw your attention to the report at your desk. It's got the current updates. If you kind of direct your eyes towards that last column highlighted in green, that's the current status of the bills. A number of them have kind of winding down. Obviously, the legislature is not quite over yet, and there's still some discussions going on several of the bills that we are interested in. I'll maybe draw your attention to 3 of them. I guess just in numerical order, House Bill 1020. We've talked about this one several times. This is a bill that has the budget for the State Water Commission. This was the particular bill that had funding for the South Bismarck Flood Control Project, which we've spent a fair amount of time discussing over the last year or so. Current status of 1020, it's in committee discussions. However, I should note, the last time I reported out to you, there's been a significant change. Since that time, the funding that was identified for a variety of flood control projects has been significantly cut, and the Bismarck portion of the South Bismarck Flood Control Project went from projected or proposed $73 million down to $20 million. The committee that's looking at it felt that some of the work that is proposed is more relating to stormwater and not so much relating to flood control. But it should be noted, all the other projects on the list received significant cuts in their funding as well. And so I believe the projections for the State Water Commission's revenue is a little bit down from where they had initially started the session. And that's a result of where we are with that project. We will continue to monitor 1020 as it works its way through. House Bill 1176, this is the property tax bill that we've talked about several times. Update on that one. There was a unanimous passage of the bill through the Senate last week. There was a failed attempt to remove amendments that were adopted in the Senate Appropriations Committee from the bill that was on the Senate floor. Some of the changes initially with 1176, there was a $1,550 primary residence credit that was reduced to $1,450 in the House, and further reduced in the Senate to $1,250 for primary residence. There's also a proposed amendment from the Senate side referred to as the skin in the game amendment, and really what that does is it provides a cap on the credit for primary residents at 75%. Senator Hogue from Minot proposed the amendment and indicated that there should be some skin in the game, as the amendment is referred to, for all property owners within North Dakota to help recognize where your property tax actually goes. Some hearty debate on the Senate floor about how 1176 could be implemented. Some concerns that lower valued homes might end up paying a higher property tax percentage based on the caps, based on the skin in the game amendment, and so this one's not done yet either. We'll continue to follow this one through the committee work, but I guess the big piece for us is the proposed bill as it stands would be a 3% property tax for political subdivisions, city schools, parks, on their general fund levies.
Commissioner Zinker.
Yeah, Mayor, Commissioners, and Jason. So the reason, I thank you for letting me interject here. I think it's critically important that we are ready. I mean, at our meeting where we heard the for the taxation, right? We had a very good discussion about what this 3% actually means and how that's going to be implemented. And Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you reached out to a couple representatives to try to get that interpretation as well.
I did.
Do you think it's beneficial, and I asked this to the whole group, I mean, especially staff, because you're going to have to try to implement this and figure this out as we get closer to budget cycle, is when it passes, right, because we all know it's going to pass, that we're ready to get an interpretation from that, from whether it's the Attorney General or whoever we got to ask that, to make sure that we're following the intent of this new law when it happens.
I've been thinking about that. I already asked League of Cities to start working on that.
Did you? Okay. All right.
I mean, they're looking at all kinds of things, and then I think, there may be a bigger discussion, because ultimately what passes and what is being said publicly by some of the legislators, right now, I'm not sure if it's an agreement with what's in the bill, but I think we are going to want to have to pay attention to what the legislators are saying when it comes to how we figure that out, because I don't want us to be in the crosshairs of the voters thinking one thing, and maybe just because the law says something, we may have to figure out how we're going to implement that. I think we just have to be very strategic about it when it comes, but we're going to need an interpretation. There is no question about it.
And I completely agree. I appreciate the fact that you reached out to League of Cities, so we don't need to do it twice.
Right.
Right. If they're doing it, then fine, and then we can.
And we may have to, if they don't follow up. I mean, I'm on a call with them every Friday.
Okay.
So
Fantastic. That's good. Thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Conley, I'm sorry.
No, you caught me right as I raised my hand, so you're good. Mayor, Commissioners, Jason, the summation of our last meeting, listening to it on Dakota Media Access, there was terms used to where we have a lot of funding sources, that there may be ways to backfill the impacts of 1176 or even possibly 1168, or find other revenue sources. Those are very challenging after coming out of Measure 4 and a lot of different things. And a lot of people, like at the Citizens Academy, said they understand a lot. I'm thinking that we don't look at those other avenues. And if they're absolutely necessary, then we should consider something to where it's an approval here and a vote of the citizen or something, because if we're finding ways to backfill consequences of a bill that's meant to limit the cost to the actual citizens themselves, and I know it's for services, I get it, and that we should let the bill function as it's designed to do. And that was a concern after hearing that summation. So just want to put it out there.
I'm not quite sure I'm following exactly, Commissioner, but I didn't listen to Jason's report on our commission. But I mean, I think we just know that we're not looking to increase taxes or other fees. That's not what we're looking at. I would not be in favor of that.
Since it was said, it's just easier to have it out there as the discussions go forward.
Okay. Anything else before Jason goes on? Go ahead, Jason.
Maybe just to offer some context to that. So in conversations with potential budget challenges, you as the commissioners will have decisions to make as recommendations from the budget committee. If the budget committee isn't looking at alternative funding sources for some of these services, then we will be bringing to you services that will need to be considered for changes. Other communities, excuse me, have talked about reduction of services when it comes to snow removal, for example. This city engages snow removal equipment at 3 inches. There may be a discussion about engaging snow removal equipment at 4 or 6 inches because we don't have the same volume of revenue to provide the same level of service. So that was my comment. That was my summation of this discussion. It was not meant to try and speak for this commission, but just in the general sense, as a homeowner, if you have a revenue shortage, you're going to look for other revenue streams to come up with those, to come up with the projects that are done. So I guess if I misrepresented anything that the commission was implying, I apologize, but I think it's a fair statement from the administration's perspective. We are here to provide services to this community, and if the citizens want that level of service, we will continue to try and engage that. But if this commission feels that there are services that can be cut because we don't have the same revenue streams, then we will follow that direction as well. Moving on, the only other bill that I really wanted to bring to your attention was 1389. This was a House bill that was intended to make some adjustments to the street utility fee. There were a number of changes that were suggested from the House committee that frankly made the bill quite unworkable from the city's perspective. And the recommendation that came out of the Senate was do not pass, and the bill was voted against, and essentially 1389 is dead in the water. If you have any other questions on any of the other items in the report, I'd be happy to try and address those. We're winding down. I think legislature's somewhere in the low 60s as far as the number of days that they have gavelled in. 80 days is the total number amount, and typically they'll try and set aside a few days to meet midterm or in between the biennium. So I would anticipate by the end of this month they should have everything pretty much wrapped up and probably set aside some days for the future. So we will continue to appear at the Capitol as necessary, participate in hearings when we can, and report back on every commission meeting along the way.
Right. Is there any other business tonight?
My pleasure.
Hearing none, we are adjourned.